everybody, to another video boxing podcast broadcasting to you live from the true north. It's a good friend, Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad. That's right, sure I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we got a fantastic one for you. There was a lot going on yesterday, Saturday, all throughout the day. Boxing from across Europe to North America, down to Kathmandu. It was boxing for everybody. And let me tell you something, we got a lot to talk about. So before we get down to the business, or the fun rather, let's get the business out of the way. Butch, could you just remind us, please, how this whole setup works nowadays with the PayPal and all that?
Yeah, so we don't have super chats for 3 months, so you guys can donate via buymeacoffee.com. The link is in the description. Link is in the chat. It's pinned in the chat, and so you can send us any amount you want and a message, and we're gonna read it on the show. So as soon as you send us a message, we're gonna receive it on our phones. And also we have Patreon. Patreon, you can subscribe for only as low as $2. And we are posting free content, so you don't have to really donate. But yeah, we just want to post some content on Patreon, just because YouTube, they have all these weird rules. You never know when you're gonna shut your channel down or anything. So on Patreon, we're gonna be posting additional content. So make sure you subscribe to Patreon. You can subscribe for free. Link in the description.
That's right. I'm going to get the hang of it then. Okay, now, so we got Patreon, we got PayPal. And yeah, the Patreon, like Bucho said, we got free content coming in the pipeline. Also working on a rather big video that we could possibly post maybe in 2 parts. We'll see how we do it. But anyway, there's a big video coming up for the regular channel too, so stay tuned for that one. And that's about it. But yeah, check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe if you've yet to do so. Let's give a shout out to it in the chat. I'm talking about Sam Rando, Hannibal, Team Badman Boxing, Quick Sloth, Bruce Gas in the house. Shout out to Bruce Gas. Shout out to Rayist. Who else we got here? Antonio Hernandez, Earl Stevens, Earl, Super Sardonic, JC, SSC, and many more people to come, I'm sure. By the way, Earl Stevens is saying Nava doesn't get pound for pound because he's indigenous. We're gonna get to that. Is there an anti-indigenous bias percolating across the boxing sphere? We're gonna get to that. Then he says, "What's up with these Cuban boxers quitting? Communism broke their fighting spirit." I mean, listen, Rigondeaux quit, and that was 7 years ago. It's not like all these Cubans are quitting all the time. So, but I mean, we're gonna get to the bottom of this, see what happens. But shout out to everybody in the chat and everybody that's gonna be coming in as the show unfolds. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get to the first fight, and I think the most significant fight of this past Saturday, which was Emmanuel El Vaquero Navarrete taking on Oscar Reptile Valdez. His acidic attack ineffective against El Vaquero's handguns, pistols. It was a shootout from the first round on, just as promised by both fighters, except that Valdez said that he was going to come in here and that he finally figured Navarrete out. He made some changes to his game plan. Well, I think the game plan was just trade with the dude, because that's what he did from the first round on. Navarrete ended up dropping him twice, 3 times total, ending things with a body shot in the 6th. I was pretty impressed by the fact that Navarrete went balls out, risking getting caught by the power punching Valdez, and ended up becoming the first guy to take Valdez out. So I'm impressed by that, but the question now becomes, how impressed should I be? And I guess I want to get you guys' thoughts. I see we got Sobers jumping in. You guys tell me, what did you think about that fight?
Go ahead, Never Sobers.
Pain. I felt pain.
I did feel the pain, man. I did feel the pain because Valdez, you could tell every shot was hurting him. I don't know what happened. What changed from this fight to the first fight?
Well, yeah, so I have a bias against Navarrete, right? But I think I made it clear. I just hate his fucking style, dude. I hate his haircut. I hate the way he cuts weight. You know what I'm saying? I hate the way his fucking arms hang off his fucking gangly ass body. I just don't like the dude, right? But he has entertaining fights, and I mean, he's better than Valdez. Valdez should not be at 130. He should be like at 122, 126 max.
Yeah.
And he's an older dude. You know, these smaller guys, they get older faster. They lose their speed. They lose their edge. So Valdez probably should have retired a couple fights ago, but he got some good wins, and I think he put up a valiant effort. The fight was much more entertaining than the first one. So he probably went out there with the mentality is like, even if I don't win, I'm still gonna go for it. So I respect him for that. And in hindsight, though, for this, I wanted to see Valdez win because he's Canelo's sidekick. So I want to see him do well. But like I said, in hindsight, for the matchup of the future, I am more pleased that Navarrete is going to get to fight O'Shaquie Foster instead of Valdez, because I think Navarrete will put the beaters on Foster, and Foster wanted to fight someone short and small and light like Valdez, and I'm sick of seeing that shit. So fight someone your size, someone just as fat and heavy as you. I mean, not built like you, but just as heavy as you, and he's going to put the beaters on you. So, you know what I'm saying? It was a sacrifice, but a necessary sacrifice.
Yeah, that's Sobers kept referencing the sacrifice. This was the War of Flowers. Or what do they call it? The Aztecs, when they would capture people?
Well, basically, the same thing about a flowery war. I'm glad you remember that, BDA. Everyone thought I was just talking shit.
Yeah, but here's my question, man. You made some good points about O'Shaquie Foster probably want to fight the shorter Navarrete Valdez. By the way, you said you dislike a lot of things about Navarrete. What about his Jay Leno-like jaw? He's got a pretty big-ass jaw.
He does have the crimson chin, and although it does make him look goofy, it is to his advantage, bro. You can't hurt him.
It reminds me of one of the bad guys from Tango and Cash. Remember that? There was a guy with a giant jaw. That's what it reminds me of.
You know what I remember from that movie, BDA? There was the weird gay scene for no reason.
Whoa,
and near the end, we're going to go save my sister. We're friends now. We're no longer enemy cops. And I think it's, who the fuck? He turns around and says something to the other. I'm thinking of a different movie with Dolph Lundgren, another buddy cop movie with Dolph Lundgren and somebody else. Never mind.
But okay, here's my question then. Because you guys know that I've felt that Navarrete has been underrated by the establishment and by fans. Although he did it to himself later on. As soon as he got his best win against Valdez a year ago, then he started going down the path of partying and all that again. But now he seems to have rediscovered his hunger. But here's my question, though. I got to be fair here, because it is what it is. This is what I see. I got to point out. How much credit do we give for him for stopping Valdez? Because Valdez, 33 years old, he's been through the ringer, he's fought everybody, he has been through some more. So how much credit should we give Navarrete for stopping Valdez?
Nobody had ever stopped Valdez, so you got to give credit for that. Well, you're right. I was looking here. Valdez has only won 2 out of his last 5 fights.
Mm-hmm. 2 out of his last 5. Yeah, but see those statistics real quick. That can be deceiving. It's like I remember when Morales came back after losing to David Diaz, and people were pointing out like, well, but he's 0-2-1 in his last 4 fights or something like that. I'm thinking, but who did he fight? He fought David Diaz, who's no run of the mill guy, and then Manny Pacquiao twice. It's like, come on, it's who you lost to again that counts. And who did Valdez lose to? He lost to Shakur Stevenson, who's undefeated, and he lost to Valdez. It's not like he's losing to Joe Blow over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think Valdez was prompted by the establishment a little bit because he's more well liked, and he's more of that classic Mexican style that we can beat. We want him this blood and guts Mexican, this short dude that our Americans can outbox. You know what I'm saying, and be comfortably bigger. Then he's more of a classic, Mexican style and the way he fights and everything. So I think that's why he was more propped up. But I mean, Navarrete is a better fighter, bro. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get to that, to the fact that for some reason people just have had a hard time getting along the Navarrete train. But hey, Bucho, I want to ask you because I don't think we got your thoughts on that. If Navarrete fights O'Shaquie Foster, and O'Shaquie Foster, by the way, was in the crowd. So evidently, that's the fight at Top Rank that makes sense for them. How do you see that one going?
Oh, I see Foster running, and I see him losing a decision because maybe Navarrete won't catch him. I'm not sure, but I don't see Foster beating this guy.
I see Navarrete beating the brakes off of Foster. Who was that guy's name who fought him? Fierro? Or no, Hernandez, the one that other little dude.
Oh, Rocky, yeah, Rocky.
The other
Hernandez.
little dude. Yeah, he was beating up on Foster. He almost knocked him out, and that was a little paisa. He was the same size as Valdez. That's what I'm saying. They want to fight these little paisas size, bro. They want to fight someone their size with arms longer than theirs. So that's what I think Navarrete is going to put the beaters on him. Foster's too inactive. He waits too long to throw a punch, and Navarrete is going to be beating him up. And maybe they'll have a good 11th and 12th round where they're going at it, but it's not going to be enough for Foster. He's not going to get a knockout. He might get stopped.
You know, it's interesting you brought up the Rocky Hernandez fight because there was another bout yesterday that sort of set people alight with controversy over the scorecards. And that's what reminds me of the Rocky Hernandez-Oshaki Foster thing where the judges had Rocky Hernandez winning. And I remember, you know, Foster ended up pulling that fight out by stoppage. But I remember on Twitter people saying, oh, I can't believe the judge is so biased. They had Rocky Hernandez winning. I'm thinking, well, Oshaki Foster was getting backed up. He was on the ropes. Both men were letting their heads go. It was a type of fight of what did you like? So I don't understand why people were aghast when they realized that Rocky Hernandez was winning that fight. But be that as it may, Rocky Hernandez, I'm glad you brought that up because Navarrete is a better fighter than Hernandez. However, Hernandez is more of a short guy who could get inside Oshaki Foster. Navarrete is not an inside guy, though. I'm not saying that just because they're different styles, that doesn't mean Navarrete can beat him. What I'm saying is I don't expect Navarrete to cut the ring off and stay on Oshaki Foster's chest. And maybe that could be detrimental to Navarrete because we've seen what happens when he fights guys who can maybe match or even surpass his speed and awkwardness, like Baranchyk did. It becomes a sloppy fight and it's very close and the judges might go one way or the other. I think that's the way I see the Foster fight going. But Foster would be terrified of Navarrete's punching power. That's what
I'm thinking. That's why I think he loses a decision, and maybe Navarrete doesn't catch him. Regardless, I think Navarrete wins this fight. And by the way, he says that he wants 1 or 2 more fights at 130, and then he plans to moving back up to 135.
Whoa.
Which makes sense.
He says he wants to beat everybody at 130 and then move up to 135?
No. 1 or 2 more fights at 130 and then move up in weight. So
I don't know.
It might even be one fight.
I don't know about the 135 move. I mean, if you want to, he's already won titles across 3 divisions. But if you want to make it in the 4th, which he already tried and failed at, you need to have guys that move up 4 weight divisions and are successful need to have speed. And even then, that speed sometimes is just enough to get you the win, like Crawford versus Majumov. Crawford still had his speed. He still had a little bit of power, or he still has some power, 154, but it's no longer the devastating power that it was in the lower weight divisions. And you saw how close that Majumov fight was. And even then, Crawford was still the bigger man, and it still didn't work out. So that's it. Navarrete does not have speed and the type of pot-shotting accuracy that you need to fight in sort of like a guerrilla warfare.
He has a size.
I mean, even when he fought Baranchyk, he didn't look all that big. Or I have to rewatch the fight, but
how tall is Navarrete? Is 5'8"?
He's like 5'7".
Yeah, like 5'7".
He just got long arms. He got long fucking orangutan arms,
right? And
make him look taller than he is.
Okay, so he's not that big then. Well, how come he doesn't look like he's in shape? I don't understand. I mean, I know he's never been like a ripped guy type of, but he looked flabby kind of in this fight more than before.
Because his brother's wife handles his fucking diets. Lucho. That's who his that's who his nutritionist is. His cuñada.
Tacos. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
I made you a taco salad. It's healthy.
Oh yeah. I took out the cheese. It's okay. It's like what? But it's he thinks that just he thinks that because he's not eating tortillas and butter that all of a sudden now I'm in shape. I'm not indulging. But we'll see what happens. But I was glad to see Navarrete go in there in shape and do what he did. Because we often ask for knockouts, but him fighting the way he did from the first round on, I said, oh boy, this is the dangerous thing he's doing against Valdez. He's playing with fire. And he ended up pulling it out. So I was impressed by the fact that he said,
"Yeah,
go ahead."
I was gonna say, BD, did you see them giving him shots of Coca-Cola in between rounds?
Why? Really? No, I didn't see that.
No, come on.
Oh, I thought you were being serious. I thought you were being serious. I thought you. No, you know what? I thought you were being. I thought you were being serious because I saw that somewhere else. Or I think you posted that somewhere, and I thought. But I was about to say, isn't that illegal to give them? I was like, fuck, you got me. But
hey, by the way, before we move on to the next fights, some people are saying that Eddie Reynoso is overrated at this point.
Well, yeah, it depends on by.
And then, just quickly, you remember in the corner, all of a sudden, Reynoso was telling Valdez, "Hey man, don't worry, like he's gonna get tired soon. He's out of shape." He said something along those lines.
Nah, really?
I think they were banking on that. Yeah, that was the plan, or maybe it's like some sort of motivational speak. Like, hey, don't give up. He's gonna tire soon, though. So keep on trying. I don't know, but yeah, what do you think about that? Adrian also apparently being overrated.
I agree, man. I mean, again, it depends on by whom. Who was going out there and saying that he was like he's this big great trainer. I think some people did that, but usually when you see guys like Virgil Hunter, this dude, maybe a little bit Buddy McGirt, although Buddy McGirt has proven that he's got longevity in the sport. They train one guy, they get famous of one guy, or Floyd Mayweather Sr. They get famous of one guy, one pound for pound boxer, and then other fighters gravitate towards them, and they find out that the trainer is not this magic wizard that can turn you into a pound for pound guy. You know, trainers can the best trainers out there, like the Ingles and like Amilcar, the guy from Argentina who I think passed away. Those are the dudes that they take a guy like Carlos Baldomir, who's average, and they get the best out of that dude. That's the good trainer. A guy who trained one pound for pound great and then hasn't done shit with anybody else, like Teofimo Lopez Sr. It's like this dude, you can tell he's not a good trainer. Knock him out already. What the fuck? Easy.
Yeah,
it's easy.
And what did Valdez really do wrong in this fight? I mean, he tried. I don't know. I don't know what else he could have done. Right?
Yeah. I mean, now he's like, I think if it was Navarrete's fast start, I think it reignited Valdez's willingness to trade. And I think whatever the plan was, which was maybe to fight a little bit more like Beranchyk, which is more head movement, maybe even drop the first couple of rounds by being overly defensive, but you get Navarrete frustrated. Maybe he runs into something. I think that went out the window as soon as he tasted the power. He said, you know what? I want to get my lick backs. Which credit to Valdez. He's not a pussy, man. That, we're going to get to whether certain fighters out there are pussies. But he certainly tried, man. And I don't know if anyone else has anything to say about that, because I wanted to talk about something. But go ahead. Somebody go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so with Eddie Reynoso, I'm going to reserve judgment on whether or not he got lucky with Canelo or not. And when we see how he looks how Teofimo looks with him in his corner in his next fight, in his next couple fights. If there's an improvement, if we can see him, okay, he's doing something. If Teofimo goes in there looking like he did against Claggett, the baguette, you know what I'm saying? we'll know where he's at, because he also had Frank Sanchez, Andy Ruiz, and who's the other dude? Ryan Garcia. But I would say, with the exception of Andy and Ryan, did look better when they're in the camp with him. They just didn't seem dedicated enough to really improve. And that's why they got kicked the fuck out.
Yeah.
That's true. And here's the other thing, though. Do you guys think that anybody could have really helped, another trainer really could have changed Valdez?
That's what I was saying. I was asking, yeah, exactly. I mean, what else could he have done?
I think
he's a short dude. He has short arms. He has a good hook. You know what I'm saying? He had a catch. He was trying to catch Navarrete coming in between shots. I mean, what else could he do? Exactly. He couldn't hurt him.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, shout out to Valdez. He fought if he retires now, he fought yeah, he was never the top 10 pound for pound guy or whatever. But he made his mark on the sport, gave us some good fights, and he fought everybody. Never shied away from a good fight. The other thing I wanted to bring up, back to Navarrete real quick, because we got a lot to get to, is, and don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. I saw this tweet yesterday before I went to sleep. This is from the Filthy Casual, El Azabache, and he made a good point here, or he raised an interesting point. He said, what Top Rank has done to Vaquero is nothing short of a complete travesty. Navarrete has been a champion of 122, 126, and 130, and not once have been able to procure him a single unification. Not only that, but they've also failed in establishing a firm, consistent home for a fighter, instead making him a vagabond. I like that word. I like a vagabond. An itinérant, as they say in French, having to fight in everyone else's hometown. Vaquero Navarrete deserves better than the shabby disrespect he's been getting from Top Rank, who seemingly have been hell-bent on getting him beat by their favorite fighters like Valdez and trying to set him up at 135 for Shakur Stevenson or Lomachenko. It's a joke. A Mexican fighter with Navarrete's power and exciting style should be a megastar, and I hold Top Rank completely responsible for that not being the case. What do you think, guys?
I agree, bro. I'm not gonna act like that. The bias I have, I don't see it in other people. So I think Vaquero, what they really wanted like I was saying earlier, they really wanted him to lose against Valdez because they think Valdez is the more prototypical Mexican fighter, and they wanted him to represent, what Mexican boxing is at 126 for Top Rank, instead of Navarrete, who looks like he doesn't really care. He looks like a featherweight, a lightweight Tyson Fury, all that loose weight on him. You know what I'm saying? And if you say this is the best guy at 130, this is the best dude we have at this weight class, people are gonna laugh if they don't know the sport. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think that they're trying to. There is a bias against Navarrete. Maybe if it's his Indio face, I don't know, but I think it's a combination. I think it's a combination of things. But no, he does get hated on, bro. I'll even say it. I fucking hate on him too, bro, because I don't like the way he fights.
I don't know, man. I like the way he fights. I mean, he's been in some interest. I mean, when he fought Joyce Gonzalez, I like that fight because Gonzalez wasn't going anywhere, and it made it for an entertaining fight. Same thing with Pitufo Diaz, which Pitufo Diaz yesterday just gave a young Henry LeBron all he could handle. Meanwhile, Navarrete went in there and stopped Pitufo. But Bucho, what do you think? Disrespect from Top Rank towards Navarrete?
Well,
yeah,
he
bro.
also,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that he also kind of like fucked his career up by sometimes maybe not taking the sport that seriously. Do you guys really think he should have lost to that Ukrainian guy? What's his name again? Berenchik?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I mean, that's the thing. So, I mean, is that Top Rank's fault, Bob Arum or something? They set him up for that loss? No, he set himself up for that type of performance. It's his fault.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, didn't he have some static with Top Rank? He didn't want to take certain fights or something, or he was, having long layoffs in between fights? Something like that, like not really being dedicated?
You will recall,
I might be mistaken.
You will recall that he came out of nowhere when he beat Dogbo back in 2018. And that was on Top Rank. And then all of a sudden, I don't remember, he went over to he was fighting in a couple of PBC cards. There was some strife in there between promoters or whatever. I don't know, some hijinks with the contract. And then he returned to the fold against Top Rank. And that's where he's been ever since. But yeah, there was some friction. And, like Bucho said, he also has done a lot of disservice towards himself by showing out of shape. Now, I remember, like I told you in the past episodes, Boxeo Atomico, shout out to him when I was on the TBS there, his show. He said that Navarrete is injured in the last two fights, which, I mean, I don't know if that, again, I have no reason to disbelieve that, but I also don't have a reason to, I'm skeptical is what I'm saying. Because how many times have we seen a fighter struggle, look bad in a fight and think, it's because I pulled my taint, it's like my groin muscles. Like, come on, really? Was it just you look bad? But Navarrete has done it to himself too with his lack of discipline, which Sobers also mentioned. I mean, the guy's flabby for a reason. It's not because he's not doing his ab crunches and counting his macros and whatever. It's because he eats like a pig and he parties. That's what makes him who he is. His character. He's a loose, free going type of guy. The way he fights is the way he lives. Now, I want to say something about that though, because I remember speaking of TBS, and I was on his show last week, and they had Rick Glazier, and I asked Rick Glazier, why? How come they push Navarrete, but push Shakur Stevenson, but they don't push Navarrete? He said, well, because Shakur Stevenson does big ratings. I'm thinking, does he really do that? I mean, this year, he did the biggest ratings for ESPN, but that's because ESPN had a horrible year in boxing-wise. Top Rank on ESPN this year was horrendous. And maybe I'm exaggerating with the horrendous part, but it was subpar compared to the other years. I can remember, yesterday was the first memorable event from Top Rank on ESPN. So if he did big ratings, Shakur Stevenson did the biggest ratings this year for them, what does that really mean? It's all relative. So, and it begs a question. Well, what if, like Asabache was saying on Twitter, what if they would have pushed Navarrete more? Because everyone's always screaming their pants over 3-division world champions nowadays. Oh, this guy's a 3-division. Shakur is a 3-division world champion, 3-division world champion, 3-division world champion. Navarrete's a 3-division world champion. But they just make it out to be like, yeah, but he won a bunch of paper titles. But they say the same thing about other guys. They lose their shit over paper titles for one guy, but not over the other. It's almost, I'm telling you, there is a certain bit of disrespect or they're underrate, overlook.
It's certainly BDA because the names don't matter. The names don't matter. It's the accomplishments.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? He was a champion in all these weight classes. He was a defending champion.
And by the way, somebody said in that tweet that I put out, that I posted rather on the screen, somebody replied by saying, well, it's his fault too because they offered him the Shakur fight and he declined it. And I'm thinking, I don't know, I heard that version and then I heard the other version from Navarrete, which is that they offered him a fight at 130. That was when Shakur Stevenson was still at 130. And that they even lowballed Navarrete. They offered him less than what he's used to, and Navarrete said that he still accepted the fight, and as soon as he accepted, he never heard back from the Shakur Stevenson side again. And we've seen how Shakur Stevenson likes to negotiate. It's a lot of back and forth, a lot of shenanigans, a lot of people all of a sudden falling out of fights, and him all of a sudden not being available. I wouldn't doubt if Navarrete is telling the truth here, because he'll fight anybody.
No, I believe it, because we already saw the same thing with Raymond Morataya. I remember he was offered that fight, and that rumor was going around, and then Robert Garcia confirmed it, saying, yeah, we were offered that fight and we accepted it, but Stevenson turned it down. And now that this dude doesn't have a fight lined up, someone on Twitter was saying, hey, you should fight Raymond. And he tags Bob Arum, and he goes, tell him to sign him up. I'll fight anybody. Like, man, fucking kill that noise, bro. You full of shit. They already offered you that fight.
Right. Yeah, so it's weird, man. It's weird. And by the way, can I just say one last note on this fight? Unless anyone else has anything else to say, but I'm looking at the CompuBox numbers here for the Navarrete fight. The dude ended up throwing 50 shots in the first round, 79 in the second. Then he sort of slowed down in the third and fourth. Then he went back to 89 in the fifth, and then 69, what a number, in the sixth.
Nice.
So, yeah, so he let his hands go, man. He let his hands go from the get-go, so good for him.
Next fight.
Next fight. Let's go to the next fight. Hey, guys, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. Let me read a couple of super chats.
And we don't have super chat, so we have the Buy Me a Coffee link, so you can click that and you can send us a message via Buy Me a Coffee.
Absolutely. And let me read a couple of messages here since we don't have super chats anymore. I don't want to miss what's going on in the chat. So, Raised One says, also Ring Magazine and Unified, but I guess we can forget that part. Oh, did Navarrete ever get the Ring Magazine belt? I didn't know that. I guess when he beat Valdez.
Yeah, I think so.
I guess when he beat Valdez, yeah. Maybe, I suppose. Earl Stevens says, it's indigenous hate. I mean, hey, listen, that's the way it looks like. Hannibal says, Shakur would embarrass Navarrete. I mean, Shakur's never really embarrassed anybody but himself with his performances, so I don't know about that. Juan Rambo says, the boxing fans preferring a Ryan Garcia phenotype. I know for a fact that Mexican women who watch a lot of telenovelas and all that, they like that baby-faced phenotype. But Ryan Garcia has actually been trying to do a Johnny Depp. He's trying to scar himself with all the tattoos and the alcohol and all that. He's actually, no, really, he's aged. Don't you guys think Ryan Garcia has aged exponentially in the last 2 years?
It's all the drinking and...
Yeah, I think more with the drugs and the
drugs,
drinking and the tattoos.
Well, I mean, I know you're a tattoo connoisseur. I didn't mean the tattoos. I meant the tattoos sort of factor into it, but it's mostly, the drinking and the...
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying now.
But that plus, then you look at the tattoos and it makes him look like a completely different person. It looks like he did a couple of...
he's trying to change his persona, yeah.
He looks like he did a couple of years in the shoe, over there in California. What do they call that? Folsom? Yeah, I think that's what they call it.
I don't know, bro. I hate tattoos, bro. I think Ryan has crazy tattoos. Wait, no. He has like the little Roman crown around his neck or some shit. It looks like a collar.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing, bro? Yeah, what are you doing, bro? What are you trying to say?
Yeah, it's true. That sucks, man.
Hand History Vault says, if Navarrete will fight anyone, then why did he move up once Foster got in that division? Well, I mean, he moved up once. That doesn't mean he's avoiding Foster. I don't understand how he comes to that conclusion.
They're about to fight next, so we'll see what happens, bro.
Yeah. I mean, he went up to fight a guy in his fourth weight class. I don't think that this isn't a guy that strikes me as a scared fighter.
Challenge himself, BDA. He tried to be great.
That's what they say, right? They always say. Marcy D says, seen a racist boxing site today. Check out Explicit Boxing. All right. Quickslot says, who would be avoiding Foster? Bro? Yeah, I mean, come on. The guy who almost lost to Rocky Hernandez. Come on. But anyway, let's move on to the next fight. We got a lot to get to here. The fight that took place on that card, and it was a supporting fight, was Rafael El Divino Espinoza versus Robesi Ramirez, 2-time gold medalist, and now people are saying 2-time loser against Espinoza. Ended up, it was a good fight. Ramirez was doing some good things. He was changing levels more, certainly smiling a lot during the fight. He seemed confident. Then the 6th round came along. He got hit with a little right hand, and he called it quits. and the referee waved it off immediately. Didn't even seem to ask him what happened. ¿Qué pasó, tío? Nothing like that. He just waved it off. Guys, what happened here?
The guy quit. Ramirez quit. I mean, there was an elbow early on, and the referee warned Espinoza about it, and the fight continued. Then I think there was another grazing elbow in round 5 or 6. But it was nothing serious. It wasn't like a UFC elbow or anything like that. And then all of a sudden, the guy, he quit. I mean, you could tell that he was struggling in there. The way he was smiling, that means that the shots were hurt, that were landing on him, were hurting him. And yeah, I think he quit. I don't know what else to say about this. By the way, it's two judges had Ramirez ahead, 48-47.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know what you guys think about that.
Well, they were trying to take the belt away from Espinoza, but as okay, so he just basically took a page out of his brethren's book, Rigondeaux. He said, "You know what? My hand hurts a bit. I'm go ahead and clock out, and before I really get seriously hurt." But I actually heard reports, BDA, that he cracked his orbital. So Davino's the eye snatcher now too.
He's an eye snatcher and a soul snatcher. I read that, Sobers. I think it was Michael Benson who reported that on Twitter. I saw that just before going on the air, and apparently he went to the hospital to get himself checked out. But look, I'm not a physician, so what do I know? But shouldn't there be some sort of swelling involved with a fracture?
There was a little bit of swelling, but that could have been a punch too. It's like a little, how do you call it? A mouse? How do you call that shit? Like a, I don't know how the fuck you call it.
No, it looked like a mouse. If you see, look, because I've seen a lot of cracked orbitals, or I've cracked a few orbitals myself. And when you look at how it looks on the face, it's not a lot of intense swelling. It's very minor swelling. It looks like a small, like you were saying, like a small mouse. It's very minor. And it's deceiving because you wouldn't think that the person, it looked like how Ramirez, like, to be honest, bro, look how Ramirez looked. It looks like, oh, bro, why are you tripping? That's how Billy Joe Saunders' eye looked. That's how Inoue's eye looked. It's not a lot of swelling when you crack the bone. You know, it's something you have to feel, and something that the doctors have to tell you.
All right, but here's the thing though. Let's say it did break, the orbital bone broke because of an elbow. I would, if I'm Ramirez, I'm complaining. I'm like, guy, he hit me twice or 3 times, whatever, with an elbow. Now I have to stop the fight, I have to quit. You know, I would be pissed off. This guy's smiling the whole time. I don't know. His reaction was just weird.
He's like, look what I'm about to do. I'm about to end this fight.
He's like, he hit me with the elbow. I have to quit, but I'm okay. I'm happy. You know, it's like, come on.
Yeah, that was well. I mean, you know how it is. Some people smile when they're upset or whatever. You know, like a lot of Arabs. I've said it before. When they're angry, they smile, like they have this creepy smile, and then when they're hospitable, they show their hospitality. They're fucking insane. They act like they're madmen. So maybe that's what it was with him. He was trying to hide the pain, but he did complain about the elbows. But I think Bucho's point, he makes a good point that wouldn't he have reacted if one of those elbows fractured the orbital, the reaction would have been much more pronounced. You would have seen him turn around or scream, or you know what I mean? That type of pain you can't hide. He didn't do that. He got hit with a low right hand after all the supposed elbows, and he just walked away calmly. I mean, I don't know. It was a weird reaction. I'm not judging whether he was injured or not based on his reaction necessarily, but I'm just saying it was weird. He didn't react like, oh shit, fucking broken.
Yeah, I would be pissed off, man. Like, what the fuck, ref? That guy's hitting me with the elbow. I can't see now. He's like, haha, smiling.
Most fighters start to show their discontent towards that from the very beginning when the foul first happens, especially something like an elbow. Something's pronounced, sharp edge, causes extreme amount more pain than the average punch. They usually react to it with headbutt, clashes of heads, elbows, low blows. They act right away to them. They don't wait until, you know what, I've had enough of these. This is one too many. I think I've had enough now. I was watching it over at Sober's house, and that's just the way it was. We saw it and just couldn't figure out if that right hand was big enough for him to say, I quit. But he turned his back and waved the arm. The referee did not look into examining the whole thing at all whatsoever. Worst case scenario, he probably should have called time first and tried to figure out what was going on. He just waved it immediately. And then, like you said, the fighter himself, he just ding, yeah, well, I'm okay. I'm hurt, but I'm okay. And, I've got my 2 gold medals and I got paid well tonight, so I'm all right. No big deal. I'm not trying to make disparaging comments towards the guy. Just there was nothing definitive about what happened, other than the fact the fight was over and he didn't want anymore. It kind of reminded me of Victor Ortiz against Maidana. I don't deserve to be taking this kind of punishment. You're a fighter.
Yeah, I remember when he said that. That's when people turned on him. But yeah, that's true, man. I mean, it's again. I maintain that the reaction was weird. Hold on. We got a whatchamacallit, buy me a coffee donation. Shout out to Frankie Sainz for his contribution with the super chat. He says, I respect Oscar Valdez. Went to the quick fight years back in the rain. Oh yeah, it was a torrent back then. I still remember that. He says, however, Navarrete is my guy. The man is just awkward. I'm glad Sober's got egg on his face this morning. F Canelo too. Oh, Sober's catching some shrapnel there. Sober's catching some shrapnel. Hey, by the way, Sober's, at least he said egg on your face, not something else. Could have been worse, man.
He gave us $25 just to say that. Jesus.
Hey, shout out to Frankie.
Well,
Frankie boy.
What part of the egg?
I'm not
The yellow or the white?
I mean, either way, it's all protein, right?
I'm not that upset that I'm like I said earlier, I wanted Valdez to win, but I'm actually more content with this matchup in Foster Navarrete.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, because I mean, we know how Valdez versus Foster was gonna go. But okay. So Divino Espinoza gets himself the win, and again, some people are making it out to be like they're really trying to push this campaign that it was the elbows that did it. Again, I maintain that if any one of those elbows would have fractured his orbital, you would have seen a more pronounced and animated response from Ramirez. And here's my take on it. I think, and again, this is just an assumption. It's me speculating. In the first fight, he caught Espinoza with the best shot possible, laid him out. Espinoza looked like Tyson Fury. When Tyson Fury gets hurt, he makes these weird gremlin grimaces. That's how he looked. He looked like he was out of it. Gets up, proceeds to put it on Ramirez, and then in the last round, he punched. People have to understand how impressive this is. In the last round, to be able to throw about 50 shots nonstop when you're dead tired, and he just overwhelmed Ramirez and dropped him. So I think Ramirez sort of knew in the back of his head that he was going to have to go to hell to beat Espinoza, and I don't think he wanted to. I think that's why he took the way out. As soon as he felt that injury, he said, you know what? It's hard enough to fight this guy when I'm healthy. Now I got to fight him when I'm indisposed or injured or incapacitated slightly. He said, no, calling it quits, which is his right. I'm never going to push for a guy, but this isn't as egregious as Demetrius Andrade taking 2 harsh rounds against Benavidez and then saying, you know what, I'm out of here. No, this was a little bit different. When a guy guys, don't you agree with that? When a guy's suffering a broken something, it's a little bit more leeway.
I mean, did he really break anything? We don't even know yet, right?
Right.
I'm just saying, we don't know if he broke his orbital bone.
Well, Chief, I know you're a bloodthirsty bastard. You want to see people get seriously hurt in the ring. What do you think? Do you think there's when people are when people suffer fractured anything? Do you give them, as a longtime boxing fan, do you give them a little bit more leeway?
Repeat the question one more time.
I know you're a bloodthirsty bastard. You probably got Viking genes.
Yeah, that's me.
And you're a
long
long time.
Right. I got all that.
And you're a longtime boxing fan, but do you? And the big thing is going after quitters. They get no love from us. But is there when a guy suffers a broken something like Vitaly Klitschko, torn shoulder, or Israel Vasquez, rest in peace, shattered nose, do we give him a little bit more leeway when they do pull out of a fight?
Well, that's always a subject situation of who you're a fan of. Fanboys, and I've been guilty of being a fanboy, will always advocate for whoever they do and don't like. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's a relative question, because I will never criticize Chavez for quitting against Oscar De La Hoya because he almost bit his tongue off. But at the same time, when people try to talk about how great Genaro Hernandez was and he quit against both Floyd Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya, I put things in reference. If you're going to say this about one, you got to hold the accountability across the board. How well you can defend it based off of your relationship, meaning how much you like the fighters, what is how you look at it. Like Chavez was at the end of his career and had already proven himself many times over before he quit against Oscar. whereas Hernandez's two biggest and only really points to glory quit against two of the best fighters, of his era. How does that relate to last night? These guys haven't achieved, neither one of them achieved anywhere close to that. So, how much the guy was losing anyway. I thought he was going to lose the fight no matter what. So I don't really hold it against him pretty much, especially if it turns out to be true. But it didn't really show that warrior spirit, because if it was the fracture and he didn't know it was, because let's face it, he didn't know it was fractured in the ring that night. He would have had to get an X-ray to show that. So it was because there was pain and he couldn't see. I said it at Sober's house last night. What would have happened in boxing if Muhammad Ali, when he couldn't see against Sonny Liston, just would have said, "Oh, I can't see, I'm going to stay in my corner"? We never would have had Muhammad Ali as the undefeated champion that got kicked out of boxing for a while. That's true. When Arturo Gatti hurt his hand against Mickey Ward, a guy who was coming, he hurt it against that Grassi, I forget his name, but the Italian gentleman, when he won the world title, he hurt his hand on a couple of occasions. He went and dug deep and won anyway. We usually admire our sports heroes for what they do in spite of their challenges versus because of them. And that, last night he was challenged by something, and before he could figure out it was even wrong, he just went ahead and succumbed to it and didn't even try and work past it. So at the end of the day, each person be the judge, but when you come time to the greats find a way around it.
And you know what? I think we should also mention that all injuries are relative too. I mean, you can say, like I've heard that before, right? When people say, "Oh, Lomachenko was injured against Lopez," but Lopez was injured too. But then you look at it and you see, well, one guy, Lomachenko, had a torn shoulder. The other guy had a fractured toe, a little hairline fracture on the toe. So when you say injured, I mean, it's all relative, right? I mean, because people are saying, well, Margarito and Inoue went 12 rounds with broken orbitals. Yeah, but I mean, it's all relative. We don't know how Ramirez. And again, though, I am very harsh on people who pull out, like I was on Andrade. But this time, it does seem like it's possibly true that he had a fractured orbital, and just because his eye wasn't as swollen as those other dudes, doesn't mean that Ramirez didn't have an injury or a legitimate.
Yeah, okay, but why blame it on an elbow then?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's bizarre. I don't know.
So he's being disingenuous. He's trying to discredit his opponent Espinosa by saying, "Oh, we had to stop the fight because he was elbowing me."
Right.
And the referee didn't do his job, which is a lie.
That's true. True.
ESPN even showed it last night, and there was no definitive evidence of any blatant elbows being, not even elbows like trying to measure them with him, let alone like a stray hook elbow or a stray uppercut elbow, which Eusebio Pedroza was great at. You throw. Some people say that you're not throwing the punch correctly if the elbow doesn't really turn into it if you miss the punch. But that wasn't happening last night. This guy was getting hit with uppercuts, and there was no real evidence that an elbow was actually purposely or intentionally or even accidentally consistently landing against the orbital bone. And like I said, ESPN even looked through the footage and showed it last night. They wasn't showing anything that happened. Mm-hmm. So when you come time you asked me earlier about this, when you're not losing with class, or when you're, in Lennox Lewis's case, when you're winning but not showing class, like against Vitaly Klitschko, at least a sour taste in people's mouth. Yeah. You're not winning the fight, and you're not choosing to go on. Lennox wasn't his choice, so that's a loose comparison. But the point is, at the end of it, it was a tough fight. I came up short. I gave my best. Congratulations to my opponent. He deserves it. None of that was happening in either one of those fights. Instead, they were disingenuously, as Bucho said, discrediting their opponents that were beating them down. And instead of just taking it like a man and a champion, saying, "You know what? I didn't get it tonight. This guy's better than me tonight. Maybe we can do it again," or "Congratulations to him. Better things for him. I'll be back." Anything along those lines, and none of that was happening. Everything was discrediting. I'm still better than him. He just beat me tonight, which doesn't make any sense. But that's what they were doing.
Yeah, that's the playbook, right? After a fight. And by the way, one of your all-time best quotes, Chief, I'm going to attribute it to you, is when you said, "You're either class or your ass." And I think that surmises what transpired or what's happened sometimes in that ring. We'll see
those exact words.
Yeah, I think those were your exact words. Well, actually, I think you said gaping ass or something like that, but it was true. I had to clean it up to Sunday. But listen, we'll see what happens if Ramirez pulls out any documentation to prove that he was indeed injured. I don't know, but I'm always weary of quitters. It is what it is. We have high standards for boxers. They get paid a lot of money at this level. Yeah.
No, just before we move on, sorry to cut you off. It's fucking delay. What's next for Espinosa?
Great question, man. Listen,
Rank's thinking of moving this guy up to 130, which makes sense considering his size.
No.
Not yet.
I want to see him and Shoe Carrington get it on.
Fucking Silvers is always thinking like.
Talking about a unification fight, right? So you have Brandon Figueroa, Angelo Leo, and Nick Ball, the guy from the UK.
I want to see that. I want to see the Nick Ball fight. I want to see it. The contrast in height would be fantastic. Nick Ball comes forward. Espinoza comes forward. I want to see that fight happen. And you know what Glacier said? He said that. He said people from Top Rank and Matchroom tend to work. They tend to have a good relationship and making fights. So why not? Why not make that fight?
Well, on top of that, just last night alone, Espinosa was reaching in too much and getting hit. We were talking about at the fight is when you make the guy come to you, you get to stand up a little taller, you keep your balance, and you don't reach. When you're fighting a shorter fighter and you're coming at him, you're eventually going to lean forward and you're going to overextend, you're going to reach, and that's when you get caught with counter shots, which would be in Ball's favor. And Espinosa obliges that. He obliges that. He lets that happen. So that does give an opportunity for someone like Ball to have a chance despite the height disparaging, the height differential is what I was trying to say. So it would still be an intriguing fight because as long as Ball fights anywhere close to side or slightly negative, Espinosa will reach and lean off his balance point, leave himself open for a counter. So it would still be a fun fight in spurts. But I think for the most part,
he's been dropped, like you're saying. No, Espinosa has been dropped, so you're right. I mean, this guy's not invincible. This guy's not. We gotta calm down a little bit. Well, me, I guess, because I was excited from what I saw, but at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. He can't get hit. He's not, the Terminator. And if he does move up in weight, he's gonna be fighting bigger guys with more punching power. And he keeps on making the same mistakes. The price is gonna be heavy, man.
And by the way, can I just correct? Yeah, a slight correction. Shout out to Team Batman Box. Yeah, Nick Ball is with Queensberry. I keep forgetting that Frank Warren's made a comeback this year, and that now he's on top of the British boxing scene. He's like the Syrian, the terrorist over there that took over Syria now. It's like you forget now they're there. You're still thinking assassin power. But still, I mean, yeah. If the Saudi, if Turkey Al Sheikh puts up that money, says, hey, I want to see, because he's already had Nick Ball over there in Riyadh season. Why not work with Top Rank and say, hey, we want to see Espinosa versus Nick Ball? Or if that doesn't happen, Top Rank does have, I think they have Angelo Leo, who just upset El Venado Lopez in his last fight. So him versus Espinosa, that could be that's easy to make. So we'll see what happens. And then, of course, you have Venado Lopez possibly making a comeback. See what happens with him and Espinosa. I'm telling you that there's a lot of options there at 126. And even Figueroa, man. Hey, you never know. Figueroa versus Fulton, the winner of that one. If they can work together with Riyadh, why not? Fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. The phone lines are open in case anybody wants to call in. Give us your thoughts on everything that transpired yesterday. And I heard a ching. Hold on a second. I'm charging the phone. I should have charged it beforehand. Shout out to
Ryu.
Gene Ryu. Shout out to Gene Ryu for his contribution with the super chat. He says, I missed the fights last night because of a boring wedding. Glad I saw the highlights this morning. Salute, Mr. BDA and Bucho. Some shekels to buy me some nalgas. Oh, buy me some nalgas fund. All right. Well,
I remember I was at a wedding. Yeah, thank you for that, Ryu. Really
Shout
appreciate it. I was going to say I was at a wedding when Canelo fought Mayweather. I had to get out of there. I went, I'm going to go for a smoke. And then I came back. I think at that point, everybody started drinking, so they didn't fucking even realize I was gone. But yeah.
Yeah, you gotta learn how to slip away from those weddings, man. You gotta find a reason. You gotta, pretend you've got a kidney stone or something, and just walk out of there. No, nobody will think the. Oh, you know what? Pretend do the Robeisy Ramirez and say you got a broken orbital or something, and then leave. That could possibly work. Listen, don't forget to hit the like. Like I said, the phone lines are open. We gotta move on here and talk about the Hitchens fight now. Richards and Hitchens beating Liam Paro for a alphabet strap. An alphabet strap at 140. The scorecards were 116, 112 for Hitchens, two of them, and 117, 111 for Paro, which is getting some people talking. Fellas, what did you think of this high-level chess match?
Go ahead,
I look, you judge off of more than just clean, effective punching, even though it's a very heavy factor. But that's all Hitchens had going his way. was an occasional clean, effective punch. He didn't dictate the pace. He wasn't the aggressor. He wasn't an effective aggressor. His defense, he was still getting hit. His defense was only the gloves, and that was more because of Paro's inaccuracy than it was of his defense. I didn't see what he did to win. I mean, I wasn't the only one that thought that. I didn't think it was a robbery per se because neither guy really put an exclamation point on their performance. But of all the criteria that you named for boxing, Hitchens did one thing, clean, effective punching, but he was hit clean and effectively also. So when you go off of everything else, in the words of the late Harold Letterman, when that part is now negated, you have to judge off of all the other stuff. Well, both of them were getting hit, so defense wasn't there. So now it comes down to ring generalship and who's dictating the pace of the fight, and that was clearly Paro. Now, there are people that said that Paro looked terrible. You're right, he didn't look good. But you don't give the fight to the other guy just because the champion doesn't look good. There's nowhere written in those words, well, the challenger won because the champion didn't look good. That's like not stupid, but that doesn't define a point. You know, you say, well, he didn't look good, so he didn't win. No, that's not what that means. What did the other guy do to win? And it was literally nothing. Hitchens literally did nothing to win other than pot shot on occasion, but he was negative. He's back-footed. He didn't do any kind of his aggression was not any more effective than Paro's, and he was the challenger. So no one ever defined to me when I was asking in the chat verbally what Hitchens did to win, and the only responses I got was, well, Paro looked bad.
Okay. It's like Hitchens relied on his speed, counter-punching abilities, but he didn't really have to do that much. He was just basically standing his ground.
If that. Because he backed up a lot.
Well, yeah, he backed up sometimes. But in Paro, I was disappointed. He would throw like a 1-2 or one punch and he'd take a step back. Like he was afraid of getting countered. It's like, I mean, you got to put some balls in there, man. 1-2, 3, 4, you know? Like, yeah, you might get hit, but you might win the fight instead. What happened? No, he wasn't fight because,
Well, neither guy really worked the body, and neither guy really used their hook. So, I mean, they both had a lot of obvious flaws. But just when it comes down to the overall encompassing judging 3 minutes of action per round and the 4 to 5 different criteria that they are, I just didn't see what Hitchens did to check enough boxes to be declared the winner. I couldn't see it. And not that, again, I'm not saying, I'm not calling it a robbery because neither guy looked that great, but I just didn't see, no one ever defined to me what Hitchens did enough to be able to not just quote unquote take the title from the champion, but did more than the champion did. Mm-hmm. And nobody has told me their opinion on that, on why that was the defining factor and why he should have lost, other than Paro looked bad. But looked bad how? Because he was inaccurate? He was busier, so that's ring generalship. He was dictating the pace, that's ring generalship. He was actually slipping more shots to me, from my point of view, than Hitchens was. Hitchens was blocking a lot, but he wasn't slipping a lot. So what edge did Hitchens have that really clearly made it look like Paro lost?
I think Hitchens landed more punches, though. After I had Paro winning the first 3 rounds clearly, and then from then on, I think Hitchens was just better because he was landing more shots. But I agree with you that, I mean, I'm not impressed by Hitchens. He didn't really do that much. I think he had to do more with what Paro didn't do. He didn't try to win the fight.
Well, first of all, I'm unsurprised at the lackluster nature and pacing, the tempo of the fight, because, you know, if you watch the Paro versus Montana Love fight for as long as that one went, it was like I said, a tit-and-tat affair, very, both guys very hesitant, one punch at a time. Paro's not the type of guy who, you know, to beat Hitchens, you need to be a guy like Lemos. You need to cut the ring off, be willing to take shots, know how to work your way on the inside, and once you're on the inside, whack this dude wherever you can, because Hitchens will clinch. He's got the ass style. He will clinch you. He has no qualms about it. In fact, he probably prides himself on being able to clinch. But, you know, Paro is not that type of dude. There were a lot of instances where he should have taken more risks, and he just really didn't know how to. So it's on him, too. I do think the fight, Hitchens started doing just slightly more every other round after the 6, and that's why I had him winning. But I'm unsurprised, too, that one judge had him winning because, like Chief said, it was that type of fight. Paro never stopped scoring with his lead hand, by the way. He was always scoring jabs. So I understand why some judges, you know, 3 judges, different vantage points. I understand why one of them, probably from his vantage point, saw that fight for Paro. Until we finally push, and this is up to the boxing fans out there, to get on board our train and start pushing for these judges to get lock him in a fucking studio where they can see the fight via a monitor. Because this ringside thing, it ain't working out. They get one angle. Whereas if they're watching on a monitor, they can, they can switch the camera, or the editing truck is going to be able to switch angles. And you're going to get a better look at these dudes. And on top of that, that dude who scored the fight 117-111 for Paro is the dude that's apparently, it came out that he's the same guy that's offered a horrendous scorecard for the first Castaño-Charlo fight, which Castaño should have won, if you recall. So, again, we got to hold these guys accountable. I should hold them accountable, but I forgot the guy's name. I'm going to look it up now. Nelson Vasquez
from Puerto Rico. He also scored, like you said, 117-111 for Charlo in that first fight.
I mean, that.
And so, I think he loves those 117-111s.
He loves those. Yeah, he loves those 117-111s. Probably the number he gambles with whenever he puts up a number, illegal gambling. Again, I'm saying allegedly. I'm not saying he's a degenerate gambler. Don't want to get sued. But he strikes me as the type of guy that would probably, the electricity gets shut down in his house quite often. Who else wants to go on this fight? Paro versus Hitchens. Sobers, did you want to?
It wasn't the most in hold on.
I see.
I like what Boxing Chief was saying. It's true. I was thinking the same thing. Like what?
Cutting off, man.
Oh,
cutting off.
Man.
Should we go to the phone lines real quick, and then get back to that?
Yeah, let's take a phone call. If there's a phone call, there's a phone call.
All right. We're gonna get back to the panel real soon here. Let's just go to a phone call. Let's go to 347. 347. You're on the air. 347. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, fellas? It's NPR.
Oh, NPR, man. What's up?
Yo.
Pretty good. Okay, so I'm only going to talk about those two fights that we had last night, Navarrete and the Paro fight. I thought the Paro fight, Paro was, after the third round, he was just ineffective on his way in. But something interesting is you notice the kind of effect that Lomachenko had on the sport in the fact that Paro was doing all those Loma-type pre-slips to work his way in. I think once Richardson Hitchens figured that out, figured out the timing on that, he was able to get his right hand across. As a matter of fact, I think it was the fourth round where Hitchens actually caught him and hurt him a little bit. It was the only time that Paro looked hurt in the fight, and that is where I think he busted open his nose a little bit. But I thought that Paro was just, it was ineffective. I mean, if you like the jab battle, he won the jab battle. Hitchens really just used his jab as a setup for his right, and then his right was basically, but not in an effective, not in a contact way, just to kind of a measuring stick. He had an ineffective jab, but I think mostly it was. I don't think I totally agree that if he followed the Lemnos plan, where he would have been try to make it a rougher fight. I thought Paro was going to make this a rough fight, and he just never did. He was trying to be a slick boxer, and it's a very difficult thing to do, being the littler guy. I mean, Hitchens had a significant reach advantage over him. And he ultimately, he's not Loma, but I think what's really important is to see the effect that Loma's thinking had on the game, and we saw that in the way particularly with the pre-slips where Paro's approach to getting in, but it didn't last. I could totally see, by the way, I'm going to go disagree with you slightly there, that I could totally see how somebody would take would score it for Paro. I don't think it was. I don't think either guy got robbed. I don't think in the scorecards, because ultimately it was Paro being the aggressor the whole fight and the guy backfooting, but hardly doing anything. Hardly doing anything. I mean, a right across the bow is not dominating the fight in any kind of particular way. So Richardson Hitchens, ultimately he didn't do very much. So it was a little bit of a boring fight. It was a tactical match. I think the much more exciting fight, obviously, was the Navarrete Valdez fight. Navarrete, I think ultimately if Brandon Figueroa could find a way to get his way up to 130, I think those two those two would be a great matchup. Navarrete and Brandon Figueroa. I think you'd get some fireworks and something like that. I think somebody in the chat had mentioned Angelo Leo in the mix. I don't know. I think I don't know if I want to ever see Oscar Valdez fight again. Not that he's a bad guy or anything. It's just that I think we've seen enough. He's kind of hit his peak and hit his stride, and he was never going to change. He was always going to be kind of that high. Just come in with the high guard, stay with the high guard. With the shelled up body. I think we've seen enough of him. I think he should retire. As I say, not because he's a bad guy or not because he hasn't given us good fights, but there's nothing more for him to do. Navarrete, I'm not on board with the notion that Shaki Foster is necessarily going to be a dominant, would be able to dominate him. I'm not convinced of that yet. I'll have to review some footage or Shaki Foster before I come to a conclusion about that. All right, gentlemen, you guys take care. Good speaking with you. See you later.
Right back at you. NPR, thank you for calling in. Call back next time, man. Take it easy out there. Is it me, or was he about to say... Is it me, or was he about to say ladies instead of gentlemen?
That's what
he said L. He said L.
Hey, but I was going to say, I have to rewatch the fight now. Chief is saying it was closer than what I thought, NPR as well. So I think I have to rewatch it because I had it 117, 111 for Hitchens, and I was rooting for Paro. So, but I'm going to rewatch it. Maybe I didn't see it correctly.
Hey, listen, I'll pay you to watch it for me because I don't want to rewatch that. I mean, it was a bad
I think it's not even that exciting. Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, but no, it's true. NPR said something that's interesting. I think me and a lot of us thought that Paro was going to be more aggressive, right?
Yeah.
After watching that Matias performance, we were expecting, and then he really didn't do it. Tried to replicate that type of aggressiveness.
I didn't expect. Like I said, I was unsurprised because you watched the Montana Love fight, and he wasn't. It takes wherewithal to put pressure and to be able to because one thing about Hitchens is he does have quick hands. He's quick on the counterpunch trigger, so that intimidates some guys, especially guys that don't know how to work their way on the inside. It takes skill to be able to do that, and people need to start understanding that because way too many people out there underrate the pressure fighters, and they think, oh, it's just coming forward. No, it's taking small steps, knowing how to explode or when to explode, feinting. It's a gamut. It's a whole gamut of things that you got to do. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 631. 631, you're on the air. 631, what's on your mind?
All right, so I don't really want to talk about the Paro fight too much, but I will kind of want to piggyback off of what you said about pressure because I feel like that's something I see all the time. I see guys, they always get confused when you say, yeah, I'm going to pick the boring, quick fighter that's just got fast hands and a long jab over the guy that, he punches hard, but he doesn't really know how to pressure. And they always get confused by that. And when they see the result, they always say, it was a fix. The guy took a dive. He didn't really try as hard. It's like, it is an art to pressuring. It's everything that you just said. So thank you for clarifying it. I hope to never see another dumb comment about guy who punches hard is going to beat guy who can move really fast. But on to the fights I actually want to talk about. I honestly wasn't that impressed with Navarrete. Honestly, not at all. I thought he looked worse than he did in the first Valdez fight by a mile. I thought he got hit way more. I thought his defense just didn't look as good. I thought his offense didn't look that great either, to be completely honest. It looked more sloppy than it did in the first fight. And I'm kind of confused why there's people that are so confident in him beating someone like Oshaki Foster, who realistically has everything that he needs to beat someone like Navarrete. Navarrete doesn't look good against guys who are on the back foot. He doesn't really look good against guys who have any good footwork at all. And he's not good against guys who are tall because they can counter him. I think Davino Lopez, is that how you say it? No, Espinoza. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, even though I think, it's hard to give a guy really great credit when his opponent quits, I think just forcing that and the way he like went about his game plan, just like pressuring him with jabs the way he did, and just his size for that weight class, I think he could really be a future like pound for pound fighter. I could see maybe like a 3 division, maybe if he can get the right matchup, a 4 division champion.
Oh, well, I mean, he's got to move quickly though because he's already 30. He's no.
Navarrete?
Wait. Hold on.
No,
let me take that back. Then 3 division champion. There we go.
So I think 1 division.
30.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because apparently I don't know what happened with how he was managed or whatever, but it took him 10 years to get this title shot. I think he's been a pro for 10 years. He came out of nowhere, man. They kept him over there in Mexico. So, but yeah, your point still stands about that. Yeah, I think he's got more skills than Navarrete, even though I am high on Navarrete.
Yeah, for sure.
I think because of his fundamentals, he can do more or be more accomplished, like you said. What did you think of the? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, the what? Oh no, what did I think of what?
Well, I was going to ask you about the big thing, which is Ramirez. Did he quit? Did he have a good excuse for quitting?
Okay, so here's the thing. I was in the chat when that fight was happening, and I was saying earlier, I was like, yeah, what's it called? I saw Espinoza land a couple of elbows, but I didn't think they were like crazy. I was just thinking like, oh, he's got to worry because, maybe he can cause like an unintentional cut or something, or they can penalize him for points because even though I don't think those elbows are damaging, they're still happening. But they did a replay, right? They tried to, and Bradley, I heard, was trying to really press that the elbows were what was causing it. But then I looked at the replay they showed, and you could see the elbow doesn't even hit him on the eye. It kind of hits him, the point, if anything, kind of hits him maybe on the side of the head. Mm-hmm. And then really the base of his forearm hits him near the eye, if anything. So I think what happened is he just felt that pressure, and he just said, you know what, man? It's been a good day. I think I'm just going to walk off into the sunset. Hey, at least I beat Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah, maybe that's how he feels. I mean, yeah, the elbow. You're right. Those elbows look like taps. I'm unconvinced. I'm unmoved. And you know what? I'll say I'm unconcerned about his health right now. I'm unconcerned about whether he lives or dies. How about that? No, I'm kidding. No, yeah, listen, I don't know.
Another thing too, man.
We'll see what the
I
X-ray
gotta
says.
say this, like, I was really disappointed in Ramirez. I feel like, speaking of step down performances, even though I think, he had his problems in the first fight, I think he kind of like just didn't diversify his offense enough. I feel like he didn't diversify his offense enough in this fight either. The only difference is he just decided to run in the ring and lose more rounds more convincingly in my eyes. I didn't really see any like real improvement besides, well, maybe I'll just try to move around so I don't get knocked out and still have the same game plan. Level change, go for a left hand.
Right. Well, the judges seem to disagree. I think they had him ahead, right, Bucho? Didn't the judges have him?
Yeah, 2 judges had him ahead 48-47.
Whoa. So, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it. All right, well, listen, caller, we got to move on here. Anything else you want to say before we do so?
Nah, I really, what's it called? I'm really hoping that they make Espinoza versus Navarrete instead of O'Shaquie Foster versus Navarrete. I think Navarrete loses both fights. But, if he loses to Espinoza, it's more entertaining. And I think Espinoza can beat Foster because of his, very good fundamentals.
Yeah, well, maybe. We'll see. All right, listen, caller, thank you for your call. Call back next time. Take it easy out there. Yeah, man, there's a lot of options out there for all those dudes over at Top Rank. They see if they can somehow step their game up from 2024, because 2024 really subpar for Top Rank. Let's go to our phone call here. Hey, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Will help us out. And if you want to help us out with the cause, you can check out our PayPal or Patreon pages down below. Links in the description. Let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 210. 210, you're on the air. 210, what's on your mind?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, man. What's up?
All right, I just had a few comments about some of the fights yesterday. For one, don't be too surprised about Robbie C losing to Espinosa because Mexicans always beat Cubans.
Come on.
Next,
come on.
On what was it? Navarrete Valdez. I always thought Valdez was kind of overrated. I was talking about it in the chat, and people were saying, "Oh, he broke through I think it was a broken jaw," but he could break through anything. If he breaks anything and he still fights, it doesn't make him suddenly a great fighter. I always thought Navarrete was stylistically horrible for Valdez. And then on the Hitchens Paro fight, I feel like that was kind of on purpose. I had it for Hitchens, but I didn't have it that wide as the scorecard they showed on the I think Chris Mannix's scorecard.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is kind of a ploy by Eddie Hearn to get black fighters with him, because as we saw with Turkey El-Rashid, he doesn't take that back foot shit. He what do you call it? He'll give it to the guy who's being aggressive. He won't give it to the back foot. And I feel like if that fight had been under the Turk, then Paro would have won. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah,
do you agree with that or what?
What do you guys think about that? You think under different conditions, with the Turk overseeing the fight, like Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat, do you think the decision goes another way?
Which decision?
The Paro versus Hitchens.
Well, first, can you hear me clearly now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Location and judge picking has a lot to do with it.
Oh, I thought Sobers was going to go.
But this was neutral ground.
Yeah, this was neutral ground in Puerto Rico.
What's a big fight? What's the future here? I mean, Paro, if he would have won, he would have fought Cambosos in Australia for a big payday. Like, nobody gives a shit about that, right? Only, I guess, Australians.
Hitchens wouldn't have fought Matias, though. Now he's definitely not going to fight Matias, because Matias would eat him.
He won't fight Matias. Hitchens wants to fight Teofimo Lopez because he thinks it's a big fight in New York.
That's going to be an easy fight for him. We know Teofimo can't handle movers.
That's right.
Maybe that's why he wants that fight. But at the same time, guys, is Hitchens all of a sudden some big attraction or somebody that other boxers want to fight?
No.
I don't think so. I think it's a fighter that maybe boxers want to avoid. He doesn't really bring much to the table.
Well,
he's about to become the boogeyman.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he beat the guy who beat the guy.
Matias was actually kind of a boogeyman, though.
Well, Caller, what do you think is going to happen with Hitchens next? Do you think they're going to put him in there against a fellow matchroom guy, or do you think they're going to try to mix? Yeah,
I want to see him go against what's his name? The guy who beat on Mikey Garcia, the Spaniard.
Martin, Sandor Martin. Yeah, huh?
Yeah, I want to see him against Sandor Martin. I think that'll be a war.
He's trying to be funny here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I'm thinking, man. Yeah, because no one's gonna touch each other. If you like missed punches,
okay, no, but really,
you love that fight.
I want to see him against Matias, because I think that'll be a good stylistic matchup for the two of them. Because Matias can pressure. He has variety. He's not like Paro. He doesn't throw 1-2, 1-2. He'll throw hooks, uppercuts, and everything. And I think he'll stop Hitchens. Hitchens could clinch him because Paro did have a lot of success against that with Matias. So I think that's a 50-50 fight.
Well, we'll see, man. Hopefully Eddie Hearn puts his big boy pants on and decides to make some big fights for that. All right, well, listen, Caller, we got to move on, man. Thank you for your call, and call back next time. Take it easy out there.
Right,
hey, good points about the Martin versus Hitchens fight. Let's go to another phone call. Let's go to 929. 929, you're on the air. 929, what's on your mind?
What's up, BDA? So, yeah, man, wanted to talk about Hitchens and Paro first, and before I get to the top end card, real quick. I thought Paro was going to give Hitchens the fight of his life, based on how hard he could hit. But, he did have a good start. He established the jab early, poking, prodding, and shooting that lead hand that really, bothered Hitchens. But you're not putting a stamp on those rounds. If all you're doing is just landing, pretty much at a low rate, and all that excessive movement that Paro was doing, I think it costed him in the second half of the fight. When you're doing that up and down thing, and that moving around, trying to confuse the fighter, but you're not landing, you're just wasting your own energy. You're not breaking down the other fighter's stamina. Hitchens, say what you will about him being a stingy puncher, that his style is boring, but when the fight slows down, it allows him to do all that pot shotting. And when you're not closing the distance, on Hitchens, you're just gonna allow him to do his work. And to me, that doesn't surprise me the least bit, because Paro doesn't fight like Lemos at all. He's a boxer puncher. He's not a pressure fighter. To adapt his style, would probably require, I don't know how many camps to do so, and test fights to really go against a pure boxer and try to cut the ring off, which he's not good at doing. Again, he's a boxer puncher. He's going to use the ring, but also has a big punch that he could use to take a gamble on. But that can leave him over for counter shots, and that's what happened. I would probably give it I don't think there was a robbery at all. I think if you're not really implementing your offense, on a costly rate, it's going to be hard on the judges, and I think Hitchens is kind of the house fighter, but yeah, damn. So just moving on to this top end card though, man, I thought Robesi versus Espinosa was going to be another classic, but when you're faced against a taller fighter and who got a longer reach, yeah, it could be a problem, for small fighters like Ramirez, who unfortunately, didn't want to continue the fight because I think Espinosa broke his orbital bone, and shortly thereafter, after that punch landed and called it quits, it started to swell. So I can understand probably, why he did that. He's not built like that to have a pain threshold that's bigger, So yeah, man. Credit to Espinosa. I do agree with a caller. I think a couple calls ago that said that he should fight Navarrete. I think that's a better action fight. Oshaki Foster is also a stingy puncher, like Hitchens, who's kind of picks the shots, and that's not an entertaining style. So Top Rank has to know what they're doing. And and lastly, I just want to get to the Valdez fight, and I just want to give credit to Valdez, man. He's a warrior, but it's like when you face somebody that has your number, what can you do? You know what I mean? No matter how hard he tries to hit Navarrete, he just wears it on his chin. You can see it. It doesn't affect him at all. He just keeps doing his work. It's like after every fight, Navarrete just puts on sheet metal on a roof, in his roofing job right after. Nothing really bothers him. It's just a regular day, for him.
Right. I like how you had to go to the roofing because he's Mexican. But you're right, man. The dude is very aloof, not a care in the world, and that could be good or that could be bad too because it makes him too aloof. And by the way, you kept mentioning stingy. You kept saying stingy. I think you're going to summon Shadowban with the stingy Jack thing. But listen, thank you for your coverage also, and call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
No problem, man.
Peace. All right, fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. And hopefully you guys are enjoying. The phone lines are still open. We're still going to be here for another, I want to say 40 minutes or so because we got a lot to get to. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Carlos Knows Boxing says, Wetback cheat against Cuba. Well, there you go. I mean, it's getting racial now, or nationalistic rather. Super Sardonic says, Cuban fighters are bland just like their food. Come on. I've never had any. I've never had a Cuban burger. What does a Cuban burger taste like? Isn't that, I heard that's pretty good, right? Those are pretty good.
Like a torta. Yeah. But I would say this: when I've eaten other Hispanic foods such as like Hondureño, Dominican, Cuban, what I noticed about their salsa is they don't like spicy shit like that. They don't like it like Mexicans do. If they like spicy food, not like Mexicans do. And their salsa is always kind of sweet. And I'm like kind of bland.
Interesting.
Just for me.
Interesting. Kind of kami is what you're saying?
Yeah, it all seems like the samey kind of flavor.
Right.
It doesn't go up in quality or down. It's all the samey, just no spice, bland.
You
sweet.
gotta get the right kind of spices. I like my spices. Clears the sinuses. It keeps you breathing. What I was gonna say.
I've noticed that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm seeing that I spent most of my career down in the Caribbean. I've noticed that. Sober's right that the flavors they have, a lot of them are sweeter down in the islands and some of the areas in the Pacific, not the Pacific, in the Caribbean, and some near South America too. So they'll have a bite to it, but there'll be a lot more tropical, a lot fruitier. There's a lot of mango in a lot of their stuff, and not quite like. And when I've been to places like oh man, I can't remember all the places I've been to in Mexico, but definitely the cumin taste is higher and is more intense, and like the bite is a lot. It stays longer. It's definitely a sharper spice to it. But that's just My experience on that from where I've been. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. As long as you don't invite me to the Jeffrey Dahmer restaurant, I hear they serve some real interesting stuff there.
That's okay. Exclusive. That's exclusive. Sorry,
that's in the private club. Yeah, that's the Illuminati.
Yeah. You're not allowed in there.
There you go. Yeah, they wouldn't want me there. I mean, in the first place, I'd get belligerent. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Like I said, Super Sardonic says Sobers is cooking, unlike the Cubans. all right. Listen, enough Cuban bashing here. What's going on? Bucho, you sent me a clip here of Tank Davis. Can you just give me the rundown, or a preview of what it is before I play it?
Well, they asked him about a fight with Jake Paul, and he said, "I'm calling out Jake Paul." And then Jake Paul,
what the fuck? Why is he? All right, let's hear this. Yeah, because I don't believe
much it. I mean, it's a joke.
I don't believe it. Let me hear this. Hold on.
You were an interested observer on the Netflix event, Paul versus.
That's Villegas,
I believe
right?
Tank would take that fight in a heartbeat for that kind of money. Especially if he says he doesn't want to fight after this year. That would be his severance package. He would take it in a heartbeat.
That's Villegas. I can recognize the voice there. Let's see if he pushes Tank Davis.
You were an interested observer on the Netflix event, Paul versus Tyson.
I know that's not Villegas. Sounds like him. All right.
Even wanting to fight him.
Yeah, I don't know who it is.
Tyson.
Why wouldn't you even wanting to fight him? And who told Mike Tyson to fight anyway?
Is Jake Paul someone you'd want to take on at one point?
Yeah. Tell him, this is my call out. Jake Paul, what up? What up, Jake Paul?
Yeah.
Do I keep playing it?
So that's pretty much
right.
Nah, then Jake Paul just says, like, is there a height limit in boxing?
Oh,
yeah.
That sounds like ableism. He's making fun of Tank Davis because of his height. I mean, there's a lot of things you can make fun of Davis for. The fact that he's got low impulse control, like Teofimo Lopez said, he's got dick sucking lips. I mean, you can make fun of it, but his height, I think he's pushing it now. I think that's out of line. Yeah, I don't even know why. Yeah,
that's where you draw the line off of everything you just said. Every last thing that you couldn't even put on the Disney Channel even today, let alone 20 years ago. But his height is where you're drawing the line. I
mean, listen, we all got our standards. But like that's a fight's a joke. And it's, you know what, Bucho, I didn't play the video, I just played the audio, but to give people an illustration, to illustrate what happened, Tank Davis sort of cocks his head to the side. So it looks like he's kidding. I don't think, but if they offer him the money, maybe he wouldn't be kidding anymore.
True, but I don't think that fight's, like you said, it's not gonna happen. I just thought it was funny. I sent you another clip of Joyce. He's talking about his future, and I don't know if it's me, but he sounds like he's getting slow.
Well, let me see. First of all, by the way, Anthony Lopez says, did Teofimo Lopez say that, or did BDA make that up? I'm pretty sure Teofimo Lopez said that, right, guys? Can anybody confirm that? I'm not in the custom of making things up.
Could you play it again? I didn't hear it.
No, I didn't play. I don't have the clip of Teofimo Lopez saying that, but I know he said something about Tank Davis having porn star lips. JP Farley in the chat says,
I do remember him saying some crazy shit like that out of nowhere.
JP Farley says, this conversation dumb as hell. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet, JP. Stay tuned, man. It's going to get a lot dumber. Real quick, man.
Well, we can always get worse.
Yeah, we can always get worse. The record illustrates the record illustrates that. All right, let's listen to Joyce, a recent interview from Queensbury. Check this out.
Yeah, I'm not done yet. I'm still here.
Good, we like to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got some fights lined up. I'm really excited to get back in the ring and show people what I'm made of, and that I'm still here and I can still push it back into the top levels of division.
What do you guys think? Does he sound punch drunk?
A little bit.
Sounds like the average bloke to me. I don't know.
Yeah, to me, it's just a British accent.
Be honest with you, when Bo fought, was it Jorge Luis Gonzalez after that fight? That was the beginning stages where he answered Larry Merchant. And I said, "What did he just speak English? Like everything was so like rushed and slurred." That looks like that interview we just heard reminds me of the interview that Bo did after the Gonzalez fight. Like the beginning stages of starting to the effects starting to take in. So this is, I'm not. Where's Doctor? What's his name? Doctor
805.
The one that commented on the Spence fight. We need him on here to analyze that because he's much better at it than I am. But it reminds me very much of what Bo sounded like right after the Gonzalez fight.
I tell you what, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's punch drunk or drunk, but he looks homeless.
I think there's someone who jumps in the VCs with us sometimes who sounds just like this. I can't remember his name.
I don't know who you're referring to.
It's an English dude. He's an English dude. He shows up drunk as hell, sounding the same way.
Oh, yeah. Who is he? What? Is he the guy that hates the IRA?
Leave and come back. Yeah. I can't remember his name, but he sounds exactly like Joe Joyce right now.
Oh, come on. All right, but listen, hey, that's the danger. A guy like Joey Joyce takes a lot of shots, and he might seem okay when he's taking them, but long term, those head snapping shots, those are the ones that will do you in, neurologically speaking. Let's go to another phone call, by the way. Let's go to 210. 210, you're on the air. 210, what's on your mind?
Yo, what up? Southpaw, Texas.
Oh, Southpaw from Texas. What's up, man?
No, not much, man. I wish I didn't get cut off that last. I guess having bad reception last time I tried to call in. But good night of fights, man. I like Valdez, bro. Like, I've gotten to be around him a lot when he was coming up doing interviews. And the guy's down to earth, man. You kind of feel bad seeing a guy like him just go out like that. And, you know, I think he's kind of worn himself down to a nub, you know. So hopefully, like, he made some good money. He was low to Top Rank. He's one of those guys that will fight anybody. You know what I mean? So he's one of those model fighters, you know, that we need to respect, man. And man, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I got a little frog in my throat when I saw that Israel Vasquez tribute Top Rank did, man. That I grew up watching that dude, man. Like those trilogies with Marquez were just. I think I got them on VHS. Still, like when I be deployed, I think I had those sent to me. Yo, so like that, rest in peace to that guy, man. He's we need more of that, man. I'm not, you know, it's sad seeing the old guard leave like that. So, but Hitchens, man, you can't sell the guy. You can't sell him, man. And it was crazy that what drives me. I can't wait till Top Rank leaves. I love ESPN, but I can't wait till they leave because I watched pretty much damn near the whole fight on the zone. Between fights from ESPN, they had like an hour break between the first fight and the co-main event. That shit drove me nuts. I knew people that were there, and I'm like, "Yo, what's going on, bro? Like, is there something going on backstage?" But I guess the time slots they gotta like, you know, stall. But no, man, I had a good night of fights, man. But I just got one more thing to say about Tank Davis, man, and I like to call out because I listen to boxing podcast and media all week, man. But Dan Canovio and Chris Algieri, their little podcast, man. Not really too much Chris Algieri, but Dan Canovio is one of Tank Davis's biggest nut huggers, man. He's going like in the area of Ellie Setback, man. He was telling the story how he went out and had ice cream with him, and he started defending. Oh, well, it's good that you know the whole mental health thing. You know, a lot of people receive that as a good thing for Tank to do, and he's like totally backflipping for this dude. I'm like, yo, he's only saying that bullshit because he's seen these young guys coming up hungry and strong. You know what I mean? Right on his heels, calling him out like the guys from Top Rank and Shakur. That was a pathetic excuse. What's the other guy's name? Keyshawn Davis. Calling him out, and he doesn't want that smoke, man. He's already older. He's probably feeling it in the gym in his 30s, and I can't wait for that dude to go away, man. He's never going to fight anybody. He's PBC's last Deontay Wilder, their last Errol Spence, their last Keith Thurman, their last hype job. So, man, good riddance to that.
Oh, wait. Southpaw.
Hopefully, yeah.
Come on. Please tell me you're kidding, because I don't know anymore. Please tell me you're kidding about the ice cream thing. Did he really boast about going out?
No. Go on Chris Algieri's thing, and he told a story about how like they were chatting over some ice cream, and he was like, hey, he's like, yeah, but I got him warmed up to me because I told him, hey, Tank, you owe me some money. He had a big smile on his face, but every time I hear this guy, he's just defending him and backpedaling and. Yo, it's sad, but that's what you get with like media that actually has to show face. A lot of them are too chicken shit to say anything. That's like best media, who used to be like on the beat every fight, like Steve Kim. They blackball these guys. They don't want to give them credentials because you got to kiss ass, and it's crazy, man. Like it's become like InfoWars, like politics, man, where you're gonna have like just narrative spewing on podcasts, and I don't know, man. We just got to call it out how it is, and Man, fuck these dudes, man. But I had a good night watching the fights, man. Looking forward to the next one, man. But
do you
I just
recall?
wanted to chime in and
Do you recall which episode he boasted about the ice cream?
it was his last one. I listened to it for like 10 minutes because I'm like scrolling through. I'm like, man, I listened to BDA. I listened to Ring IQ already. I listened to the 3 knockdown rule. I listened to Coach Malachi, and I'm like, all right, man, fuck, because I've been moving all week, man. I just bought a house, so it's just like, yo, like I'm having something in the background and while I'm doing everything, and yo, man, it was the last one. I heard it for 10 minutes, and I've heard him backpedaling for Tank before, but just hearing him just like, oh yeah, it's good that he's opening up about mental health, and we need to respect that. And I was like, God, man, this guy's so full of shit. And Tank's like that girl that is a dramaholic that always says, oh, I'm gonna leave you, because she just wants you to chase her and say like, oh, come on, no, dog, come on, baby. She just wants you to like just kiss her ass, and that's why he's saying, oh, I'm gonna leave the sport. Man, the jig is up, man. Anybody who's defending Tank to this day, man, I'm sorry, man. You've got some like Diddy vibes on you.
Well, listen, I refuse to believe that the guy was boasting about going out for sharing an ice cream sundae with Tank Davis. I refuse to believe that. I'm gonna go listen to it because that is surreal. That would be surreal.
Yeah,
but
the last episode, man, it's like at the 15-minute mark, I'm like, I gotta go. Like,
oh my goodness gracious! All right. Well, listen, Southpaw, thank you for calling in, and call back next time, right, man?
I got it.
All right, take it easy, man. Guys, I refuse to believe that. In fact, somebody just sent me a photograph. They say they did catch Canobio and Tank Davis at a Dairy Queen. This is the photo here. I don't think that's them, man. I mean, the skin doesn't match and all that, so I don't think that's them. But that's insane, guys. What do you think about this? Is journalism, boxing journalism, going down the drain?
Oh, if they're bragging about playing footsies with fighters, yeah, something's wrong.
Playing footsie with, I mean, listen.
Okay, man. Yeah, of course it is. You have to suck cock, in order to get those interviews. And
that's gotta be true. A hellish. I've said it before. That's gotta be.
But they don't think. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Delay.
They're not thinking long term. They're thinking short term. Oh, I'm gonna get this interview, but then all of a sudden, that boxer, he's not gonna be on top forever. Mm-hmm. And like most boxers, they're gonna do something stupid. They're gonna start to fuck it up, and because you were sucking his cock the whole time, now you gotta defend him. You can't criticize him, and so, I mean, these people again, they're not thinking long term.
It's journalism. You're supposed to, as a journalist, you're supposed to have a wall between you and your subject. And to me, it seems like a hellish job doing what these guys do, where they got to go to the press conferences, they got to shoot these lowball questions. There was one guy apparently who told Tank Davis, "Hey, Inoue says that you don't have anything for him other than power." And Tank Davis, to his credit, said, "I don't believe that word. Show me where he said that." Because it's these fucking people stirring shit up. It's either sucking dick or like schoolgirls. Hey, this guy said this about you. Listen, leave that up to me here in YouTube. When I go up to other YouTubers and I tell them, hey, this guy said this about you, what happened? Leave that up to me. But to go up there and do that to boxers, that's the best you've got. I don't know. It seems weird. It seems unconstitutional, unconscionable, and unchristian, if you ask me. So, that's why I barely listen to these interviews where they go, what is, because I've said it before. What are these fighters going to tell you? They're going to tell you they're in the best shape of their lives. This was the best training camp ever. They're happy to be here. That's the question they always ask.
What does it mean? Softball questions.
Yeah, and this is the one I hate the most when they go, what does it mean to you to be fighting in front of all your fans tomorrow? It's like, what do you think he's going to tell you? That he doesn't like it?
Christ.
I mean, come on.
Are you ready for this fight?
Are you ready?
No, I'm not. I'm not ready, actually. I don't know what I'm doing here.
All right. Well, we got. Speaking of guys who've gone off the deep end a little bit, Teofimo Lopez was on ESPN yesterday. They asked him about his future. Let's see what he had to say about that.
If you could wave a magic wand, really, who do you want?
Let me see. Jaron Ennis, Boots, Javante Davis, and finish with Terrence Crawford. Fuck yeah. Sorry for my language.
All right. So he wants all the smoke, as they like to say.
He wants Boots Ennis, then Javante Davis, and then finishing it all off with Terrence Crawford. I don't know. What do you guys think in the chat? I think it should be first Tank Davis, then Boots Ennis, and then Crawford.
Yes, that would be much better. He might be able to.
I think that's never going to happen.
He may not have been naming him in the order he wants them in, but he was definitely naming the guys that he wanted. Obviously, it doesn't make any sense to try and chase Crawford all the way to 54, go back down and fight Tank Davis, and go over and fight Boots Ennis. I think those are just the guys he wants to try and get in the ring with. And let's face it, he's clout chasing money. Despite his accomplishments in the ring, he still doesn't command enormous paydays. He's only getting older. He wants to pad that bank account for you because he's already made money and then almost lost it all around the Kambosos fight. So he knows what it means to try and make money and try and, get the severance package. So those fights are going to give him the most money. He doesn't care who else is in his division because none of them draw anything except for maybe Ryan. Because, Ryan, I still don't know the full numbers of what he made against Haney, paydays or number of pay-per-view sales. But Ryan aside, Tank Davis, Boots Ennis would with Tio was the name attached to Boots. I think that would sell at a low level, meaning it would approach. It would sell over 250 easy. Now, would it get over to 400 or 500? That's a different story. But it would sell more than what either one of them can do by themselves. And then, of course, we still don't even know if Terrence Crawford can really sell anything on his own outside of with Spence. But Tio thinks that his name will make that exponentially larger.
Teofimo Lopez cannot sell. I mean, this is a dude that... no, he can't, man. I mean, come on. He fought Jermaine Ortiz. Barely
is
anybody
that true? I keep hearing that. Like, I don't know the numbers. I don't follow that shit. So when he fights in New York, Brooklyn, whatever, is he selling? Or?
I don't know, but has he ever had a dance partner that would help sell? That's the big question. Because other than entities that crossed over on their own, like Manny and Floyd, but because they fought Oscar, let's not ignore the fact that neither one of them ever would have reached a quarter of the success that they had on their own without Oscar. That's what transcended them past that. They wouldn't have gotten there on their own. But they had that fight that put them over. So there's nothing like that around for almost anybody today. Like someone tops Bud Crawford, that doesn't they're not going to become an automatic 8-figure fighter.
Exactly.
They're just going to be known within the boxing world and possibly slightly outside of that. And if they have the charisma and the management and the money behind them to try and promote them bigger, they may be able to capitalize on it. But a win over a big guy doesn't automatically get you anything. Hopkins beat Trinidad. He didn't become an 8-figure fighter until he fought Oscar.
You know what? I think he'll. I think he'll gain some more momentum very soon. He started working with Eddie Reynoso and Canelo. So if Canelo was putting Frank Sanchez on his undercards, he'll put Teofimo Lopez on his undercard. So that'll be a good platform for him to put his skills. He'll just have to show up on the night.
But wait a minute. How, like Teofimo Lopez, does anyone know how many fights he's got left with Top Rank?
I don't know how many he's got left with Top Rank, but being on an undercard, where on the undercard are you? You know,
but that's
on the Canelo fight.
Would he allow it?
On Canelo cards, most people don't tune in until Canelo shows up because the cards usually suck. So if Tio gets stuck on the undercard to that, is that going to benefit his career at all?
I don't even think exactly, and I don't even think Teofimo Lopez wants to be in an undercard. Or
he thinks he's the face of boxing. I mean, we know he's not, but I mean,
he's still living off that Lomachenko win. If you ask me,
what if Billy beats Pacheco? What if Billy beats Pacheco? Top Rank, they've entertained the idea of having Canelo fight on their platform, so if they can bring him over for a fight like that, they could put Teofimo on there.
One thing I will say about Teofimo Lopez, he's very The thing about Teofimo Lopez is he's very abrasive. He's got a bad character. He seems to be very mentally unhinged. He's annoying. He can't cut the ring off. His father's a loser. That being said, I will give him credit. I will always give him credit for stepping up and less than 20 professional fights, and he won at Lomachenko. Now, granted, he was making things difficult. You know, his father getting drunk and accosting the Lomachenkos at a hotel lobby, him asking for more money before the fight, and Lomachenko had to give it to him. But he fought the guy. Whatever happened before and after, he fought the guy, and he fought Josh Taylor. Meanwhile, these other dudes are going around crying and complaining about he said something racist. Well, then fight him then. He said something racist. Go show the community.
Shut his mouth
culture.
up.
Yeah, do it for the culture. But they don't want to fight the dude. So I think
what do they hate on?
Yeah, ever since Jamal stepped up for the culture, bro, no one else wanted to, huh?
Yeah, that didn't go too well. But the point is, Teofimo Lopez, for all his faults, he has fought the best.
He's not a star.
But like Superstar Donick said in the chat, he ruined his momentum. He says,
But he's not consistent either, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like Superstar Donick said, he ruined his momentum. He could have been a star, but spent 1 year out of the ring after Loma, then lost to Cambosos on his comeback. Yeah, and beating Josh Taylor for us boxing fans, that's a big deal. But for the average Joe, the casual fan, they don't really know who fucking Josh Taylor is either. He's some fucking.
I think he looked like shit. He's after that, no? So
well, Taylor looked like shit before and after the Lopez fight.
Yeah, before and after. So he was only that Josh Taylor fight where he looked great, where he had to. I mean, that was he was fighting the lineal champion. And by the way, Teofimo Lopez is a lineal champion if you think about it.
Undisputed.
So you call him undisputed.
Well, no, he's not undisputed, but he is lineal.
BDA doesn't care about belts.
Excuse me, Chief. Yeah. You're acting like you're a Zoomer and like you haven't been watching boxing for over 30 years. You got to remember, undisputed means there's no dispute. Not this four undisputed in the fourth belt era new thing that the Zoomers came up with. Let's get that straight.
Well, the first time I ever heard the term used at all is when Tyson had all three belts at heavyweight division, and there was no disputing the fact there was nobody else to be called champion. So that's where I derived the term to come from. So there's obviously other people that can claim the fact that, hey, I think I'm better than him, because it's an opinionated thing until one guy is left standing. And there's too many people at the junior welterweight division that are still standing, so Teo needs to get to work.
I mean, listen, I don't think he beat the guy who had all the belts. It's just that politics stripped him of the
guy who beat the guy who beat the guy, right?
Yeah, I don't think he needs to beat Puello and Hitchins and all these other guys who are holding meaningless straps to be called undisputed. He is undisputed. There's no dispute. He beat the guy who beat the guy who beat the guy.
I mean, it depends how you see it, right? But he's a lineal champion. That's why people use that word, right? The lineal champion.
Or I should say,
so that's where it comes from. Is that so when things start to, like Lennox Lewis, who gave and sold the heavyweight division away after he had everything, right? He was still the lineal champion. He was no longer undisputed because other people had championship belts. They had the right to call themselves champion under sanctioning bodies. But the lineal champion of who you can trace back to all these other, you're not tracing Chris Bird back to John L. Sullivan. You're not tracing John Ruiz back to John L. Sullivan. You can trace Lennox Lewis back to John L. Sullivan. And that's where lineal comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's one guy at top, and then after especially in this 3-4 belt area, was things start to get watered down, disseminated. Who was the last person we're tracing to of being the one guy on top? And that's your lineal champion.
Yeah, so you're wrong about that.
I mean, Lopez, because Josh Taylor put it all together. It's been let go, but even since it was let go, Teofimo beat Josh Taylor. So there's the guy you can trace back to Kostyazu and to so on and so forth before. Because let's face it, unified belts since the WBA and WBC split back in the 70s, Kostyazu was the first person to be undisputed. So
yeah, well, when after Ruiz had those 3 fights with Holyfield, I said, you know what, Ruiz is a lineal heavyweight champion in my eyes. That's all I have to say.
Hey, you know what? People in the chat are saying that Taylor should have lost to Catterall the first time. Yeah, that's true. He should have lost. So maybe.
Right. Some people are.
So then I'll say this. I'll modify my standards. I'll say that worst case scenario for Lopez, he needs to fight Catterall to be considered undisputed.
Yeah.
How about that?
So Catterall is like the number one contender, right?
Or you could say he's the if people want to really disavow the official result, they can say he's the undisputed guy.
Well, I can say he's an uncrowned champion. That's another term that flows around.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, uncrowned champion. Like Mikulaszewski, we were talking about him a few shows ago. Hey, but so Teofimo Lopez. Okay, so
he was crowned.
Oh, you're right. But anyways, what was I saying, man? Fuck.
Lopez.
So Teofimo Lopez, he wants his big fights, basically. He's not talking about unification. He's not talking about fighting Hitchens or I don't know who else has belts down there. Which makes sense, right? Teofimo Lopez, he's a superstar. He needs to fight other superstars.
He should be. That's true. And that's the other thing is I was just looking at the ratings here. When again, ESPN has had a horrible year with Top Rank with the boxing. Teofimo Lopez, when he fought Jermaine Ortiz, averaged 532,000 views. Now, keep in mind, when he fought Lomachenko, that was during the pandemic where people were staying indoors. Nobody could go out or whatever. But that fight did I think it peaked at 3 point something million views. viewers rather. So you put him in there with a big name, he will do big ratings. Maybe he won't do well at the gate, but he will do big. He's like the opposite of Tank Davis. He doesn't do well at the gate, but he will do well with the viewership at television. So
right,
yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, Vucho has a good point. The fact that where he's at, he's proven himself amongst the top guys in any division he's in. If he was up in welterweight, obviously have to prove himself again. But right now, 140, he's proved himself. Beat Josh Taylor. He's had some up and down performances, but he's had titles. And from beating Lomachenko, we know he's going to be a top-ranked guy in his division. So he should be fighting other top-ranked guys in his division. He doesn't necessarily have to fight the obscure number 4 contender of the WBO if he doesn't even hold it, because it does nothing for his career, and he's already past that. I mean, if there's nothing else open for him and that's what they can do to keep him busy, that's a different story. But in order to prove himself of where he is at in the division, those are useless fights for him. Fighting anybody out of the top 3, especially if they don't have another strap, Vucho has a very good point. That's the level he's at. Anybody that's a top name in his era and his weight class is who he needs to be fighting.
Absolutely.
Whether they call him lineal, undisputed, or what, doesn't matter. The only people he should be fighting are the other ones that the public, or at least us boxing heads, can label as a claim to a threat to his standing, and that's who he should be fighting.
Yeah, and look, listen, he's already had 2 fights where people weren't really all that interested in him, Jermaine Ortiz and then Steve Claggett. So time to get to work, get this guy a big fight. Maybe he's the problem too, by the way. Maybe he's making things difficult. As we heard, supposedly there was a Ryan Garcia fight available and he didn't want it. That's what some people say. Then other people say that, no, it was Ryan Garcia, blah, blah, blah. Who knows? The other thing I wanted to mention is bad news. Madrimov will not be fighting Bohashak. He pulled out of the fight because of bronchitis. Guys, who didn't see this one coming?
Yeah, right. I don't know who believes Madrimov is actually sick, but it's a smart move by his part, from his part, because you want to go into that Ortiz fight being 100%. Yeah, that's a fight that can change his career, take him to the next level. He fought Crawford. It was a close fight. Some people thought he won. At the end of the day, he lost that fight. But he has another opportunity to make it back to the very top of the division by beating Ortiz. So why risk it by fighting by Bohashak? Just say you're sick.
Well, that's the thing. It was too close together. I mean, fighting in this late December. And then late February. Again, you could make the argument that a short turnaround is actually good for the guy. But then again, you don't know how the Bohashak fight was going to go. Maybe Madrimov would have won that, but he would have been taking so much damage that he would have needed more time to recover. I don't know. I think 2 weeks is enough to recover and then jump back into training camp. But for whatever reason, they felt like... Robert Garcia said that in an interview recently. He said, I don't think that Madrimov-Bohashak's fight's happening, after they announced Ortiz versus Madrimov. So that's the way it's going to happen. It's Madrimov is going to stay off the...
You never know what can happen in that Bohashak fight, I mean, he might even fucking injure himself. So, no, it was expected. But now, hey, BDA, the whole undercard is pretty...
trash,
average, or yeah,
it's trash. Yeah.
Just call it trash.
Compared to what
it's trash.
Yeah, compared to what they've given us before, it's trash. I mean, a good thing it's in Saudi Arabia, meaning the main event's probably going to come at 5:30 p.m. or something Eastern time. So that's good because I wouldn't want to stay up drudging through all these fights. Waiting for the main event. But yeah, it is disappointing because the rest of the card was essentially a bunch of British up-and-comers, but then you had Bohashak versus Madrimov. I was like, oh, all right, I can get down with that. But then not even that's on, so it's a bit of a letdown, but hey, it is what it is. And now it's Madrimov Ortiz. Who do you guys have winning that one?
I got Ortiz. Gotta go with Ortiz.
I think Ortiz is going to win that one. I knew something was going to happen. I don't even know if he really does have bronchitis, but having those 2 kinds of fights scheduled back to back, you're just asking for a problem. This guy could get cut. He could get hurt. Even if he wins, what if he gets a cut that he needs to get stitched up? Or what if he loses brutally? Don't you have to wait 90 days before you get back in the ring, at least before you get back to training?
Mm-hmm.
Mandatory if you get knocked out, right?
Yeah. Something like that,
yeah.
right? Yeah, they get an
In Saudi
average
Arabia,
time.
they don't give shit.
You get like a doctor's notice, like you can't fight, you can't train if you get knocked out. So
In the US, yeah, probably.
Yeah, if a
so-
doctor tells me that.
Oh, in the
if I'm a-
U.S., you're right. Maybe
yeah,
in the
exactly.
U.S.
In
You're
Saudi
right.
Arabia, they don't give a fuck.
If I'm
No,
a
but you're
doctor,
right.
Never
He can-
mind.
he
You're
could-
right.
he
But I
can
just
twist his
like feel like there's a
ankle, you
recipe
know?
for disaster. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
people in the chat are saying they're picking Ortiz. Listen, I want to briefly talk about that before we go because we got about 9 minutes left in the show. But we got a phone call here. Let's go to a phone call. Let's go to 805. 805, you're on the air. 805, what's on your mind? 805, you're on the air. 805. Going once, going twice, going thrice. All right, call back next time, man. I wanted to say then about the Ortiz. Yeah, listen, Ortiz was looking like a killer coming up through the ranks. Then he takes on what's his name? Bohajak. And I mean, look, I didn't know how that fight was gonna go because I could have seen Ortiz catching this dude early, and then or Bohajak taking his shots. It was all dependent on whether he could take the shots or not. And Bohajak did take the shots and gave him hell. But he also got people keep harping on Ortiz getting dropped twice. Bohajak also got hurt in that fight a couple of times. So it was by his pure toughness that he was able to keep on going against Ortiz. I don't know if Madrimov can take those type of shots. I don't think he's ever. I mean, he did do very well against Crawford, but this is the guy who's gonna have a high guard and is gonna be standing right in front of him. He's not gonna just try to counterpunch like Crawford was. So, hold on a second. Well, I don't even know if that's him. Maybe it's him. 805, you're on the air. Can you hear
You're
me?
just hoping BDA.
No. 805, you're on the air. No, I can't hear it. This person calling in. 805.
That's weird.
805. Well, I'll leave the person on the air and see what happens. But what did you say, Source? I didn't catch it. You said I'm hoping that what?
Yeah, you're hoping it's Dr. 805.
Well, somebody mentioned it in the chat, and then they said, hey, maybe it's Dr. 805. I talked to 805. We should be having.
How many numbers are from? Where's 805?
We should be having him soon. I talked to him on. I talked to him on Discord, and we were talking about a future show. So just gotta find a time that's right for that. But go ahead, Sobers. What were you gonna say?
Oh, nice.
Yep.
I was gonna say to add to that what you're saying about Virgil, because I was also talking about how he got dropped, whatever, in that fight. But I was looking back at that Kavaluskas fight. He was actually a lot more hurt against him than he was against Bohachuk. Those are more flash knockdowns against Bohachuk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being fair against Kavaluskas, he got dropped and he was hurt. He was holding on. You know, he was clinching until the end of the round, and then he had to come back from that. So I think Ortiz has, he's shown himself to be vulnerable to get, maybe a hit, but I mean, he comes back with a fire every time. So
Yeah,
I think he'll beat on Madrimov. I think he might be too small for him.
Interesting. I mean, listen, I think like Amma calls him Mad Rimjob. I think Mad Rimjob, he's very good. Don't get me wrong. I was actually having a more difficult time figuring out how the fight between him and Bohajak would look, because Bohajak's a bit more of a pressure fighter than Ortiz is. He's more of a plant his head on your chest type of guy and go to work. Ortiz is more like a long range, mid range type of guy. So I don't know how that's going to look. And Madrimov can crack with both hands. He's a formidable fighter, man. He's very sneaky, very crafty for a guy who has under 20 professional fights. So I don't know, man. I don't know how that one goes. Bucho, what do you think?
Sorry, what? Because I was doing something here.
Ortiz, Mad
Rimjob.
Mad Rimjob versus Ortiz.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins that one?
I told you Ortiz. I think Ortiz wins the fight.
Oh, yeah, I think you did. Okay, yeah,
I just think he's... Yeah. We're still talking about this. I will see, man. We'll see. Let's see how... Oh, no. I was going to see. Let's see how Madrimov looks, but he's not even fighting.
He's not even fighting, man. Come on. We'll see. I still maintain that
Ortiz is too fast and too strong. I'm just gonna put it that way.
Well, that's what Sober said.
No, but you know what? I mean, I could see Madrimov outbox this guy, and so it's a close fight. It's a very close fight.
Yeah, and I think people are
So I think the way he looked against Crawford was good, but it's gonna be different with Ortiz because he's gonna bring a young man's energy. So it's probably going to be maybe just as tactical, but a lot more physically intense.
Mm.
And Madrimov looked a little spent. He looked a little mentally spent against Crawford. That was a stalemate of a fight.
Ortiz has to be aggressive. Obviously, that's his style. Because Madrimov, he will try to stall the fight, make it a slow-paced fight, and a boxing fight. So Ortiz gonna have to take chances.
Yeah, the flip side to what Sober said is that Ortiz did get tired too against Bohashok, but then again, that was a different type of fight because, like I said, Bohashok's a guy who brings it, whereas Madrimov is more of a guy who. But that's the other thing. I don't know if Ortiz should wait against Madrimov because that's what Madrimov wants. He wants a long, like the early runs against Crawford, where it's just two guys looking at each other, an old man's pace. Yeah. So
he has to go in there and fuck him up, man. Like this is what's gonna be happening throughout the whole fight. There's no I'm feeling out rounds and none of that shit. He has to go for it.
I think Crawford should have walked Madrimov down. I think he tried to. When he saw that he sensed that the fight was very close. He tried to walk him down, but at 36 or however old he is now, I don't think he felt he had the engine. For the first time ever, I saw Crawford tired. And Ortiz's gas tank right now, it is suspect because, look, he punches with everything every time he throws a shot. And because Bohashok was able to absorb them, I think that's why Ortiz got tired too. Also, maybe, I don't know, finally finding somebody who could take his shots after so many fights and so many layoffs from Ortiz. Because remember, he only fought a combined, 2 minutes or something like that in the past year. In the build-up to the Bohashok fight. He was out for a long time before that. So there's a lot of asterisks and a lot of questions about whether Ortiz was really in optimum shape for the Bohashok fight. But I guess we'll see against Madrimov. We'll see. More questions will be answered by then. Hold on a second. One last time.
I only expect him to look better in the weight class, as he goes along.
We'll see, man. We'll see. 805, are you there? Caller. I can't hear you, man. I can't hear you. Listen, if that was Dr. 805, he would let me know in the Discord. All right, now I hear something there. 805.
What the hell?
I think he's playing around with the settings. Yeah, we can hear you, 805. What's up?
I don't know what's going on, but it's not working.
Is this Amak?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't claim that professional.
Where the fuck are you, man?
In the jungle or something.
Yeah, where are you, man?
I'm down under.
Are you in the tunnels again? Are you in the tunnels again looking for that? He told us a story on Second Renaissance where he was in the tunnels underground in California.
The Oxnard, California.
All right, this ain't working out, Amak. Call back next time, man. We gotta go, man. Take it easy, man.
He's in those cartel Oxnard, California.
I mean, I don't know what that was about, man. This is how he was sounding. Hey, BDA, how are you? I mean, come on, man. Get your phone line straightened out. I know we have problems with the phone lines too, but come on, man.
Hit the like button, you degenerates in the chat. Hit the like button.
Hit the like button. All right, that's enough of that.
What the fuck?
That's enough of that. Listen, we gotta go. Anything else we missed? Anything else you guys want to say before we depart?
There was a fight on the undercard on the top rank. I don't know if y'all talked about Richard Torres' fight.
No, I didn't even watch it. I heard he stopped that guy, the Ander Ruiz.
This guy that looked like a mutant, version of Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman.
The version.
Yeah, he looked crazy, and then but he could fight. He fought the guy Richard Franklin. I'm not sure if that's his first name, but yeah. Franklin, the guy who he went 12 rounds with Joshua. He actually had a good fight with him. You know what I mean? The guy's not that bad, and this guy gave Franklin a good fight himself, and it was a pretty shitty stoppage. Torres landed an uppercut that snapped his head back, and the referee just stepped in and stopped it.
Oh my
like
God,
an amateur
man.
stoppage. It was kind of weird. The dude didn't look hurt, whatever.
Yeah, I'm bored. At this point, I don't give a shit about these Torres fights. Unless he fights somebody that's actually gonna give him a challenge, I'll watch it. Other than that, I'm not gonna watch it. He's always fighting these guys, these fat guys, and then you're telling me it was a quick stoppage. Top Rank needs to step it up.
I mean, Top Rank with the Mexicans, it just seems like they don't know what to do with these dudes. I think they're still reeling.
I don't know why.
They're still reeling from trying to hype up all these light punching Americans, and now they forgot how to promote Mexicans.
They do a better job than Eddie Hearn does, because I think Jalil Hackett also lost on the undercard on that Liam Paro with Richardson Hitchens card.
Oh yeah.
He was a touted prospect. You know what I mean? He took a L.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that fight, but I heard you guys talk about it on your Discord. There's overs. I'm gonna try to go and rewatch that one, or watch that one rather. And by the way, JA says
Pulev fought.
Ah, come on. I mean, he was fighting fucking Manuel Char. Every time he got hit, his hair plugs were jumping all over the place. It was.
I didn't even watch it. Char
He was
from
getting
the
more
era.
balls after every round, right?
Char is from the Klitschko era, man.
Yeah, man, that's insane. Jeez,
Can you
Louis.
believe it?
It wasn't a bad fight, but I mean, Pulev with the fucking constant grabbing the guy behind the head and pulling him down. It's like he wanted him to suck his dick or something. It was outrageous.
He sexually harassed. Okay.
Yeah, he was sexually assaulting him. Bernard says
Assaulting,
Dr. Amok. Yeah, because he's from the 805. Super Sardonic says he's in Area 52. Mr. Giancarlo says caller with the Obama phone. Grim Reaper says
Area
Amok is down
51.
there. He says
For
Amok
sure.
is down there with the mole people. Quickslot said, motherfucker said cartel tunnels. Then Amok says, something wrong with the phone line. No, it's something wrong with your phone, man. I know sometimes we have technical difficulties, but that was you this time, man. Come on. But yeah,
Guys, it's buy me a coffee. It's buy me a beer, actually.
Oh
We don't have
yeah,
super chats
so
anymore.
Blaze
Yeah,
brought
go
it
ahead.
up in the chat. BDA, Mark Castro lost. Elon Castro, he took a L too.
Yeah, now he's from Argentina, right? I think.
No, he's Mexican.
Oh, okay. He lost against an Argentinian, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought it was two Argentinians fighting. Castro is more, Castro is more of an Argentinian name. Like, what was the
He
name of
looks
that?
like
Anyway,
he looks like a mutant.
yeah, so there you go, man. We had some upsets. We had some knockouts. We had some people quitting and creating controversy. I'm telling you, it was a very good night of boxing. Now,
We even had a blast from the past with the Char and Pulev, right?
That's right. Yeah, blast from the past, oldie but goldie. So yeah, man. I mean, a little bit of everything for everybody. Next week, though, kind of slim pickings before we end the year. But who's fighting next week? We got Munguia fighting. You got Picasso fighting on the undercard. By the way, they're saying now the rumor is that Picasso might get the next shot at Inoue. Should Inoue get past Sam Goodman?
Yeah, in April.
April,
I believe.
Jeez, Luis.
Yeah.
I'd rather see Inoue versus MJ, who's also fighting next week, by the way, on another card. So we'll see what happened there. What happens
Who's
there?
MJ?
The dude with the beret at 122, the Uzbeki.
Oh my,
Uzbek,
yeah,
Uzbek.
weird name there. Yeah. Or Nakatani, right?
Or Nakatani. Yeah, we'll see, man.
If he moves up.
But yeah, so we got a card from ESPN Plus next week. Munguia and Picasso on the card. We've got on the zone from Monaco. That's where MJ is going to be fighting, and then the main event is from the cruiserweight division. Chivon Clark or Chivon, I don't know how you say that, versus Leonardo Mosquera, not Mosquera, Mosquera, and that's a cruiserweight fight. I'm going to take a look at that one because I want to acquaint myself with who's a cruiserweight right now. I'm getting lost. I think there's women's fighting next week too, so we're not going to talk too much about that. We got Alexis Rocha on the zone next week too versus Raul Curiel. So no big fight per se, but a lot of boxing should keep people busy.
Mm-hmm.
I invite people to go over to Never Sober's channel to watch those.
And then after that, and then this Saturday is the 14th of December. We're going to have all those fights that BDA mentioned. And then the week after that, that's it, man. Fury Usyk Fury 2.
Hopefully we get to it, man. Hopefully Fury shows up because a lot of people are fearing that he might.
What? No.
Well, you never know. You never know, do you? Then you've got a couple of days later, you got Inoue versus Goodman. That's a decent fight. Then a couple of days later, you got Ryan Garcia versus Rukia Ampo, which is supposed to be an exhibition at 153.
No one cares.
Well, listen, you got that's on the Fan Mio YouTube channel. I don't know what the hell that is. You also have Kermel Morton. if he can even make the weight, taking on Albert Pagada, he's got a lot of experience, this good dude. And then you got Amado Vargas, Sean Garcia. Then a couple of days after that, from Tokyo, Japan. I'm looking forward to this one again. Fernando Martinez, Kazuta Yoko rematch. And if Fernando Martinez wins, you never know. Bam Rodriguez matchup coming up, perhaps. We'll see. We'll see. So that's the boxing we've got in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully,
Can I say,
yes.
Something about this kid, Carmel Moten. He's supposed to be Floyd's next protege. This dude's like 5'1".
No,
and
really?
He's already fighting at 1. No, I'm dead ass. That's how tall he is, and he fights at 140. He's fighting at 140 right now. And his last fight was supposed to be at 135, I think, and he came at 147. So this kid can't make weight already. He's like 18, 19. What are they going to do with him, bro? He's going to be at welterweight when he's 21, and he's going to be 5'1". He's smaller than Pitbull Cruz.
Hold on, let me check this out. You're right. He's 5'2". He's at 130.
Wait,
no, short dudes be lying, bro. They be lying. They give themselves an extra inch.
What? I didn't know he was
251 at 135.
Yeah,
he's fighting at 140.
140.
That's why he's got I always said he's got a weird face, and now I know why. Because he's a fucking little super short 5'1".
I don't think that dwarfism.
That's how it works, man.
He's like Peter Dinklage.
Look at how short he is compared. Look at how short he is compared to Mayweather.
That's him right now. That's him right now at 19 years old.
Look at that, yeah.
Wait a minute.
That's just how he looks with the shirt on.
He's not a dwarf.
He's a dwarf. He's a hobbit. Send him over to the volcano to drop the ring over there, man. That's what he should be doing. Damn. Can't believe he's 5'1". I didn't know that.
Yo, that's like... Yo, what the fuck? That's way too small for even featherweight.
They couldn't give him
Prince Nassim Hamed was small for a featherweight. Was short for a featherweight. He was 5'3".
They couldn't give him the Lionel Messi hormones or something to get him to get him taller. Because that's what they did. No, that's what
Bucho he win a fight. How can he win a fight at 140?
I mean,
that's what I'm saying, bro. And he's not even 20 years old. He's gonna be at 147 in 2 years. Like, what the hell?
This is insane.
Yeah, but he must be strong then. I mean, he has to be compensated with weight. I mean, strength or.
He hasn't been matched that easily. He hasn't been matched that easy, right? But those are at smaller weights. I'm saying, what's he gonna do when he gets the top two? He can't even make. We'll see if he makes 140. You know?
Gene Ryu in the chat says El Pitufo Comel. El Pitufo Comel. That's gonna be his name. El Pitufo. The Smurf. Yeah, the Smurf. Oh man.
This is those steroids stunted his growth. Whoa.
Handsome Mechanic says Duende status. Yeah, elf status. That's what he's got. Jeez.
Well, I mean, I'm now just curious to see how he fights.
Earl Stevens says weird face molten. Super Sardonic says they should put him on one of the medieval stretcher racks. Yeah, get him taller. Hey, that's what I saw. You know what? I'm going to talk about the Mexican Renaissance. This new thing, well, it's not new, but it's been around for a couple of years. And these people that get these operations where I don't know if they break your knees or something, and then they install these rods, and they're supposed to get you.
I saw a video.
That sounds painful. Was that?
Yeah, no, it looks weird because the legs. They put this thing on your legs, and so your legs are longer, but the rest of the body is the same. Remains with the same dimensions, right? So it's.
Hey, maybe Colonel should go for that. Maybe he should go from one of those operations. I don't know. And put some steel rods in his fist while he's at it, so he can hit harder.
But anyway, I never seen a fighter that Floyd praises end up becoming a really good boxer.
Nah. Yeah, I mean, well, he said Chad Dawson was going to be the next pound for pound king. How did that work out? Well, listen. Go ahead, Silvers. Go ahead, man.
I was going to say, who was the best guy who was supposed to come out of their gym? I think it was J. Leon Love.
Yeah, we know what happened.
And then, Porky Medina left him twerking on the floor.
Twerking on the floor. That's one of the most vicious things I ever read was Emeritus Mueller's in the Discord when Daniel Dubois was fighting on one of those Don King undercards where they were fighting in the backyard or something, and he knocked out this dude, this fat dude, and the guy, if you look at the picture, he's one of those knockouts where he's reeling on the floor, where he's sort of slumping forward on his knees, and Emeritus Mullers goes, face down, ass up, ho. I go, come on. I was like, what? face down, ass up, ho. Oh, man, these people are vicious, man. I'm telling you. Well, shout out to...
Sober was asking on who the best person to come out of the gym was. And I've been saying this for years, that it just shows the fact that just because you're a great boxer doesn't mean you have an eye for talent, because Mayweather has, in management, training, or promotion, produced nothing significant aside from Tank Davis. And even then, they've been matching him very softly. Like the second they did anything with Adrian Broner, if Broner was even really their protege, the second they matched him up with what is technically a B-class fighter, Marcus Maidana, he got exposed. The only reason why anyone considers Maidana more than a B-class fighter is because he beat Broner and then had a good performance, a good losing performance. Even though I thought he won, he still lost on paper. So nothing good's come out of that gym except for Floyd.
There you go. I mean, it is what it is, man.
Right.
Just because you're a great fighter doesn't mean you're going to be a great manager, trainer, promoter, whatever. It's different. Apples and oranges. So,
and same thing happened with Roy Jones in the 90s. Everyone said he was going to be a great promoter because he was promoting himself, and he brought along Winky Wright for a little bit. And then the second he lost to Tarver, HBO wasn't really knocking on his door for asking for the talent coming out of his gym. Yeah. So yeah, BDA, just because the people that do that, they're the star right now. And so they're in demand at that moment. And the second they don't have that star power anymore, if they don't have any kind of smarts, business sense, or charisma, like a De La Hoya or like a Sugar Ray Leonard, guess what? When that well dries up of talent, you've got nothing left because nobody wants to deal with you anymore.
Don't forget that Jones also introduced us to the great Derek Smoke Gaynor. How many memorable nights did he give us? I'm not saying memorable in terms of entertainment. I'm talking about low blows, running around the ring, the ass style. I mean, come on. That's what he gave us.
I remember that Marcus fight.
Oh, I want to forget that fight.
No, but he did have some exciting nights against Kevin Kelly. So it's like
one exciting fight.
Maybe you're right. The rematch wasn't that good.
Well, listen, be that as it may, we'll talk more about this later on this week as we continue talking about the fights are going to be coming up. Again, don't forget to check out Patreon. We have some free content there in case you're interested, coming down the pipeline. And I'm also going to be doing, I really enjoyed making those Boxing's most shocking moments of all time. You go back to the history vault. So I'm going to be talking some extras. I'm going to be doing some extra DVD commentary for those fights and fighters. So stay tuned for that.
Are those on Patreon or they're going to be on the main channel?
What? No, not Patreon. I'm talking about.
Are they going to be on Patreon?
Yeah, Patreon.
Okay.
Patreon. So shout out to everybody who go check that out. The link is in the description. Bucha just posted it in the chat. Yeah. And that's about it, fellas. Again, thanks for joining us, Sobers, Chief, Bucho. Shout out to you guys. Always appreciate you jumping by and jumping in. Like I said, we got more shows coming up. Stay tuned for that. Talking about the people in the chat, of course, Sardonic, Super Sardonic, Jin Ryu, I can think that's a troll. Come on. Mexican Boxing #1, Epadokua. I think that's Sobers, by the way. Two Matador.
That's not me, bro.
Okay, come on.
That's Phantom's dirty fingernail.
Come on. Rafael Garza, Mr. Pelavacas, Knockout Ned, Handsome Mechanic, Samsung, Omar E. Evan. That's Dora. Shout out to Dora. Handsome Mechanic, Earl Stevens. Shout out to Earl. And if I forgot anybody, it's because we got to go. Shout out to you, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoy the show. Catch you in the next one, fellas. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. Oh, shout out to Thunderdome. Shout out to Thunderdome. Check your Twitter, Thunderdome. I just sent you a message. Get back to me, man, please. Take it easy, fellas. Thanks for watching. Woohoo.